Evolution. Sports Talk Television live here nightly. All Bucs Report. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about on tonight's show. Bring your passion, bring your excitement, just don't bring any nonsense. Will you shut up and be quiet? Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another edition of the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts for all your auto parts needs. It's Advanced Auto Parts. It's the Sports Web live here on Bucs Report, and a busy day if you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan, if you're a Patriot fan out there. Plenty of teams doing lots of work, so let's get down to it. I know you guys want to talk about it. So on tonight's show, we'll have Leon Searcy, former offensive tackle for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Jacksonville Jaguars. Of course, wrote a book called Fourth Down and Damn. So we'll talk to him, hopefully have him on. And then, of course, your phone calls. In case you missed the breaking news earlier today, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers re-signed Shaq Barrett, 4 years and a $72 million contract. Other sources are saying it's 4 years, 68, so it's up to 72, but $36 million guaranteed. Of course, Barrett coming off his year of having 8 sacks and then 4 sacks in the postseason, 27.5 sacks the last 2 years. So what do you think about that? And then there was breaking news about an hour and a half ago. Rob Gronkowski has re-upped with the Bucs, 1 year, $10 million. But according to Greg Allman of The Athletic, Bucs are again using voidable years on the Gronkowski contract. It's a 1-year deal with 4 voidable years, so his cap hit is only $4.8 million. $4 million with a base salary and $4 million bonus prorated for a cap of over 5 seasons. And also, Allman mentions he has an opportunity to duplicate the salary that he made last year with the $10 million with $2 million in incentives. So what do you guys think? 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. So how do we start off the Sports Web? And again, I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. As I mentioned on this show before, I had no worry, especially with Tom Brady redoing that deal and freeing up about $19 million. And right there, it told you that the Bucs had a plan. They had a plan from last week when they franchised to Chris Godwin, when they re-signed Levante David. Of course, David only $3.5 million. Shaq Barrett's contract is about $5.6. And now we find out that Gronkowski's deal is only $4.8. So a lot of people asking about Ndamukong Suh. A lot of people asking about Antonio Brown. A lot of people asking about Leonard Fournette. And, of course, Ray Kennedy, Tampa Bay Ray, best of the Bay, asking about Ryan Suckup. And there has been no word, but you got to feel like that if they're in the Bucs' plans, the Bucs will get it done. So, guys, what do you think? 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391. Let's go on to the comments. Bucs Skull Gang in the house. Hey, bro, what's up? Go Bucs, fire those cannons as we shall. Good stuff. Daniel Williams, who called before. I expect you to lead us off here. Go Bucs for life, 813-58. Bucs doing good so far. Brandon says 4 more to sign. Ben says, so pumped. We're keeping everyone so far. Shaq, Gronk, LFG. Do not let Sue leave. So without further ado, let's lead it off. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the Evolution.
My name is Logan Bloss. I'm calling from Evansville, Indiana.
All right, Logan, first-time caller on the Sports Web. Appreciate it, man. What do you think so far about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and what they've done this last it seems like it's been forever, but it's only been about a week and a half. Getting Chris Godwin under contract, of course, with the franchise tag. Levante David now re-signing Shaq and Gronk. Your thoughts?
I've loved everything we've done so far. I'm hoping we can get Sue back as well. But I had a question for you.
Yeah.
re-sign either Antonio Brown or Ndamukong Suh, who would you go after?
Sue, you got to go.
Get one.
You got to go Sue, and I tell you why, because it kind of goes back to the whole theory of, well, if you franchise a Chris Godwin, and I felt like he was an integral part of this offense, and not only that, being 24 years old, there's no way you could let him get out of that building, and because of what this defense did, you want to keep everybody intact. If Sue wants to come back, I'm signing Sue first and taking care of Brown later, because I feel like Brown doesn't necessarily have a market. And then on top of it, Sue is so important to that defensive line. Everybody wants to get Gerald McCoy, this. Gerald McCoy doesn't fit this defense. Ndamukong Suh does. That's the reason why they signed him in the first place. You look at the Bucs standing, keeping those two big hosses, as what my uncle would say, in the middle, and basically frees up those guys on the outside in a JPP and a Shaq Barrett. And you look here, Logan, with this defense being number one versus the run, Sue is my priority at this point. Suck up and then Brown.
Completely agree. I'm also excited about Tyler Johnson as well.
Well, yeah, and I think Tyler Johnson has an opportunity, but, it's like fans out there, they want to throw Tyler Johnson in there, throw him in there already, and it's like you're throwing out a 24-year-old wide receiver, and I get it. He's going to make $15, $16 million on the franchise tag, but there's not many of those guys around. And if Godwin got out into free agency, Logan, can you imagine how many teams would have been knocking on his door, namely the Miami Dolphins, most likely? I mean, they're looking for a wide receiver. You have the Indianapolis Colts, which was rumored. So even the New England Patriots, who, went crazy today. Can you imagine if Godwin went out there on that free agent market? But the Bucs and Bucs fans don't necessarily have to worry about that now because he's been franchised. So I like Johnson too. Interviewed him a couple years ago at the Outback Bowl. We saw the potential. We saw the catches that he made versus the Saints in the divisional ball game. Made some key catches during the season. I'm just not ready to throw him into that slot role. But if he's a third wide receiver, I say run with him if you're deciding to go away from Brown.
Yes, I agree with that as well.
All right. Anything else?
That is all. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely, Logan. Let me go ahead and fire those cannons right there. Let me go ahead and give you a Ric Flair woo right there. Definitely call us back, all right?
I will. Thank you.
Appreciate you there. New caller. Gotta love that. And also, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are still world champions, Super Bowl champions, however you want to slice it. That has not changed. And think about it, ladies and gentlemen, all the things that they've done so far. Well, we'll get back to that in a moment. Let's go out to Johnny Dean. Johnny Dean, welcome to the Evolution. Your thoughts? Barrett back, Gronk back. What do you say?
I say I'm going to quit worrying about the cap because it seems like these guys are signing for $5 on a bag of nuts.
Exactly. That's what I'm looking at right now. I'm looking at this from Greg Allman, and they first reported it as Gronkowski is getting a 1-year contract, and then you learn from Allman of The Athletic they're using voidable years. What is that, like play money? What are the Bucs doing at this point?
Like all right, after Barrett signed today, over the cap had it listed as $9.6 million left, right? So, and then here comes Gronk signing for $10 million. But the way they're arranging it, they're using magic and stuff. They've joined the Marvel world.
Well, they really have. They're a bunch of Doctor Stranges in one Buccaneer place. We didn't know that. And then also, Tom Brady joining them. And you kind of wondered so many years how the Patriots were able to get other players. They basically, they changed their line of thinking at this point. But what Tom Brady did, it just started this. It kind of snowballed it. And you could see with Levante David's comments of talking about Brady and his leadership and how close they were. And get hats off to Bruce Arians. Anytime he says, your ass ain't going nowhere, that's my best BA that I could give you. Every time he says that, they don't go anywhere. He's 3 for 3 from the parade. So it's a great day to be a Bucs fan.
Like Barrett, he basically got his $20 million a year. But the way they're working it out, it's only 5 point something million against the cap.
5.6 this year.
Amazing, dude. Yeah. It's Greeny and Light deserve all the credit in the world, man.
Well, I tell you right now, don't shower Mike Greenberg with too much credit because all the other NFL teams will start to figure this out and try to hire him for a GM job because what he's done along with Light has been amazing. And I just don't want those guys to separate. I want those guys to stay together. as long as they can with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because the way they've done these contracts, not only last year, but this year has been simply amazing.
Yeah, it has. I haven't been as excited over a contract writing since what was his name? The lousy GM, but he was a genius at doing contracts.
Mark Dominic.
Yes. Yeah. He those pay-for-play contracts he made up were genius.
Yeah, besides letting Michael Bennett go.
Yeah, other than that. Well, his players
and LeGarrette Blount and Aqib Talib, right? Letting those guys get out.
I think that was more on Schiano, because Schiano was brought in specifically only to straighten out the locker room, because locker room was a mess.
I agree.
Blount happened to have a babysitter to get him up in the morning and stuff. That was crazy.
Yes, agree. Agree.
I don't know what Bennett was doing. I don't know why he was released, but
I do.
Evidently they didn't like him in the locker room.
Well, they thought he had a shoulder injury. That's the reason why they let him go. And obviously he didn't have a shoulder injury. He may have had some injury, but it didn't really affect him from becoming a premier pass rusher, which the Bucs have been looking for forever. And when people were saying, well, just let Barrett go, you'll replace him. Look, I get it. There's options out there, but keep the defense intact. And, going back to Logan's question, and I think that will be the question for the night, guys, who do you want to sign next? Is it a Ndamukong Suh? Is it an Antonio Brown? Okay.
Absolutely the next. He's got to be the next signing.
Got to be the next signing. Okay. Well,
yeah, but he seems like he's already ready to take a team-friendly deal, and with the way that they're making magic money out there, I don't see a problem with it.
It's like monopoly money.
If I was sweating the cap like I was right up until they signed Gronk, I've been sweating the cap. I've been watching the cap numbers and going over the cap and checking out the numbers on that and trying to organize an article. And by the time I get one article organized, it's shot out and there's another signing. So
Johnny Dean, what did I say? What did I say? Come on to the dark side here. What did I say before this whole process began? First and foremost, the cap is BS. They've got plenty of money if they want to spend the money. We saw that with the Saints. It seems like they're bajillion, and I feel like I'm Austin Powers at this point, or Dr. Evil. I should just put this up right here. They're bajillion over the cap, and they find some way to get under the cap. The Bucs were going to sign the majority of their players. They still believe that, even with with what they've done so far. I think they bring back a Suh. I think they bring back a Suck Up, and I don't know. I don't think there's going to be a market out there for an Antonio Brown, so I think he may end back up here somehow, some way.
I'm with you there. I said it on Rick's show a couple of days ago, and I didn't get a lot of good feedback, but I'm still on that, man, because I don't think he didn't play. He started at week 9. Okay.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have a lot of tape for these people. He doesn't, and these teams don't know what kind of fit he'd be in their locker room.
Yeah.
And there's another point here. All these teams turned him down before.
Yeah, exactly. And the two teams that are supposedly interested are the Baltimore Ravens because of Marquise Brown, and then of course Seattle, which right now you don't even know if Seattle's going to have Russell Wilson there. So if I'm Antonio Brown, why in the hell would I go to Seattle?
Russell Wilson's not happy with him. Why would he be happy?
Right,
with him,
exactly. And
he's quick to say I'm not happy here.
Exactly. And again, that's what I go back to with everybody talking about, the sky is falling. They can't re-sign everybody. Yes, they can. And the reason why a lot of these guys are taking these type of deals is because this, at the end of the day, is the best situation you can be in. They're Super Bowl champions.
I said to myself, when I saw Gronk get signed, I was like, well, then look here. The cap just don't mean shit. So, I'm going to say, maybe even Leonard Fournette gets signed.
Well,
maybe. Don't. That's not a push. Right?
No, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. It just depends on what the Bucs want to do and how they feel about it. But I still think James White could be in their plans over a Fournette, and I think Fournette may be out of here because he wants more money. But if Fournette wants to take less money and run it back, I shouldn't say run it back, but go for 2 because. That's what he's
been flipping back and forth in his at first he said that he wanted to go where he was a bell cow and he needed more money and blah blah blah. And then that kind of flipped to where he's on board he wants to come back. When Shaq Barrett was making, Levante David was making his interview, he said that Lenny wanted to come back. So I'm like, I don't know what he wants to do, man. And Fournette is the biggest mystery on the team, actually.
He really is. He's a mystery, and so is Antonio Brown. But I think if Brown goes anywhere, it's going to be right here. He's not going to go anywhere. Most likely he'll sign a team-friendly deal, and they'll figure this out. They figured it out before. They figured out how to get the guy paid for the 45 receptions with, somehow throwing him the ball instead of giving it to Ronald Jones. So they can figure that out, and they can figure out all these other contracts. I'm pretty sure they can figure out how to sign Sue, Brown, Suck Up, and whoever else they want to sign. Good stuff, Johnny. Anything else? What else did you take out of free agency?
Seen what the Patriots have been doing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it. Matt Judon, definitely a big time weapon there on the outside. Of course, they had all kinds of players,
rushers from the Ravens, man.
Right, exactly. Good stuff there. And then you get Nelson Aguilar, who was very good with the Raiders last year. You get him as another wide receiver. That's why I say Chris Godwin. He could have been headed there if you put a player like that out there. But the Patriots have kind of changed their focus a little bit, haven't they? I mean, they have not been
also
big.
Picked up another good tight end.
Jonnu Smith from the Tennessee Titans. So definitely getting weapons for Cam Newton, but you couldn't do that when Tom Brady was there. Maybe
I don't think it's for Cam Newton. I think they're going to draft a quarterback. Man.
You think so?
Really do. I think Cam's a bridge quarterback, and that's how they're going to use him. And they're going to draft maybe Trey Lance.
I like Trey Lance.
That would be a good fit for the Patriots. Trey Lance would be a great fit for the Patriots.
I'm becoming a Trey Lance fan because I'm looking at his statistics. I look at his overall athleticism. I definitely think he's got some potential to be scary good. And I tell you right now, I look at the Carolina
mentality. He's got a brain.
Well, Carolina Panthers at number 8. That's where you could look. Maybe they trade up or something like that. Maybe they get a team. Maybe somebody in that top 5 that gets them to trade up if they get that desperate. If they play this poker game.
Deshaun or Russell. That's what they're really focused on them.
Well, we'll see how that all works out. But, nothing is – it's been crickets here the last couple of days of Russell Wilson, so nobody knows if that deal is going to happen. You would assume that it would be to the Chicago Bears with the money they freed up. And word is that Allen Robinson doesn't even want to sign his franchise tender. So if that's happening right now, I wonder if Russell Wilson coming to the Bears would make Robinson change his mind just a little bit. Just kind of wondering.
Right. And it looks like they're lightening up on the team itself. The Texans are lightening up on the hold they got on Sean Watson.
Yeah.
So that's a very strong possibility that he ends up in our division. And that would be, as long as we got Brady, I ain't worried about it.
Right. Of course, you got Brady, but you also got a defense intact, and that's why it's going to be so important for it to keep intact, especially with young players like an Antoine Winfield, a Devin White, Levante David getting re-signed, still playing in his prime. Shaq Barrett, 28 years old. I mean, it's not like this team is necessarily getting up there in age. Sue is a veteran. Of course, JPP is a veteran, but he led in sacks last year. So you got to believe, with them coming back.
And we're building depth through the draft too. I'm not really worried about our defense no more.
I agree. I don't think a lot of people should be worried about it, and that's why I think it's nonsense when people are mentioning, well, you should go after a corner. Why? Why are you going to go after a corner, especially a veteran corner that you're going to have to pay top price for? You're saying Patrick Peterson. There's no way Patrick Peterson's coming here. I mean, honestly, I'm going to put it out there. No way. Richard Sherman. Yeah.
Our rookies are now veterans. So I ain't worried about that.
Not unless they're signing for, nothing at this point. I can't see it, and I don't even want to see it. I tell you why, because I like the young corners they have in that back end with the Carlton Davis, of course, a Sean Murphy-Bunting and a Jamel Dean, and you got Antoine Winfield and Jordan Whitehead and Mike Edwards. What were your thoughts on Drew Brees retiring yesterday with his last pass being to a Mike Edwards? How about that,
I feel the same way I feel about every great quarterback that comes to the end of their era. It was sad to watch him go, but hey, it's the NFL. We're going to watch Brady go one day, and we see them all
hopefully not anytime soon.
Right.
Phillip Rivers.
3 more years, right?
Well, you look at the quarterback carousel from last year, right? I mean, you have Phillip Rivers, he retires. You got Drew Brees, he re-ups with the Saints. He's retired now, and you got Tom Brady signing an extension, and who knows when he's going to stop playing. I mean, the way he's played at a level, the way he's playing right now, I wouldn't put it past him. He plays longer than 45 years old, honestly. So,
yeah. Breaking news: Bud Dupree just went to the Titans.
Oh, the Titans. Oh, how about that? So hopefully they get some production out of him, because they definitely didn't get that out of Clowney last year with the $13 million they paid. How much did they pay him? Was it in the $17 million range?
16.5.
16.5. And here's the thing. Allman also mentions, Greg Allman of The Athletic says, Bucs correctly anticipated that the limited NFL cap budget, would keep the pass rusher market from getting to $20 million a year or more. For the class, Barrett is at 17, Floyd at 16, and Yannick is at $13 million for the Raiders, which is a good move for them. So,
right,
plenty of moves to come here. Huh?
Yeah, Steelers are going to be suffering this year.
Well, they are. We'll see how those losses happen, because I definitely think they're going to lose Juju Smith-Schuster too. I don't think he's going to come back either.
And
so
Ben coming back without his weapons is going to be They might be right there with the Bengals this year.
I'm not really concerned about the Steelers, because every year they either draft a wide receiver or they have a wide receiver that comes in and is unbelievable. I'll tell you what, we got to run. We're going to get Joshua Cole Allen on here. Let me go ahead and fire those cannons for you right there, Johnny Dean. Appreciate the call. Let me go ahead and give you a Ric Flair. Let's go out to Joshua Cole Allen, one of our fine writers on Bucs Report. What's going on, buddy? How you doing? Joshua Cole Allen, hello. Okay, Johnny Dean, you there? I don't know what's going on right now. Okay, well, you have to call back, I guess. I don't know. Let's read these comments here. And then again, we're expected to have Leon Searcy, former offensive tackle in the NFL for the Steelers and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So let's go out to Eric Scott. Bring everyone back and draft ATN. That has definitely been talked about with recently with draft pundits. Go Bucs says sitting. Let's go out to Don here. Bucs life or no life? I agree. Carl says, any word on Barrett today? Yes, he signed an extension, 4 years, $72 million, $36 million guaranteed. So there you go. He is definitely going to be a Buck for the next 4 years. Shack Attack back with Gronky showing up too. Sitton says Super Bowl, 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 Super Bowl. And let me go ahead and fire those fans for you right there. Again, the question for the night, if you had the opportunity, who is your choice? Who's the next free agent the Bucs should sign? Is it a Ndamukong Suh? Is it an Antonio Brown? Is it a Ryan Suckup? Is it a Leonard Fournette or somebody that we're not mentioning? 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. Let's go out to Johnny Dean, says Sue. Pat Searcy says great day in Tampa Bay. Keep Sue, says Ben Parrish. Sue, come home, 813 Bucks for life. Daniel, where you at, man? Where are you at? No Brown. Then go to Tyler Johnson. I think that's what you're saying. My son says go Bucks. All right, I'll go ahead and fire those fans for you. Peter King and Johnny Dean, appreciate you there. Full Bear, the Andrew Fulbear, the big board out of Canada, North Sports Dynasty. I know who you are. Thanks a lot for tuning in. David says, I think Shaq Barrett is overrated when you see without Vita next to him. He was just average. Was he average in the postseason? Was he average? Was he average with third in the NFL with pressures this year? I don't necessarily think it was average. Did he get the 19.5 sacks? It's tough to duplicate those numbers. I get what you're saying. Vita Vea in the middle definitely made a difference, but Vita Vea makes a difference for everybody on that defensive line. You want him for the full season, and you feel like, knock on wood, if he doesn't have an injury, you're going to have him for the full season. So I definitely don't think he's overrated. Did he duplicate the numbers? No, he didn't duplicate the numbers, but he still had the third most pressures in the National Football League. And then on top of it, you looked at when Vita came back in the postseason, 4 sacks and 8 quarterback hits. You want to know the reason why these quarterbacks are running for their life? Shaq Barrett, JPP, and of course, the Vita Vea in that middle. So I disagree with you. Leftwich couldn't win a game on Madden calling his own plays, and yet he won plenty of games last year. So thanks a lot for trolling. Carl says, what kind of deal did Barrett get? We talked about that. 4 years, $72 million, $36 million guaranteed, but only a $5.6 million cap hit. That's it. 5.6 this year. Of course, the cap is going to be going up next year. So that's what the Bucs anticipate. Let's go out to Mr. Daniel Williams. Welcome to the Evolution. What's on your mind, Mr. Williams?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. How do you feel, buddy?
All right. All right, tonight.
Yeah.
Right there. Hey, man. Welcome back.
Welcome back, right?
He wasn't going nowhere.
He's not overrated in your opinion, like some people are saying he is?
Yeah, I knew Shite wasn't going nowhere.
Okay. I agree with you on that.
Right after Levante signed, I said after Shaq is the next one.
I'm sorry?
But though I said Shaq was going to be the next one. I thought he was going to sign for a 3, but he signed for a 4.
Yeah, sign for a 4. Okay. And yeah.
Because I'm like, him and Jason Pierre-Paul, man, they are a dominating group.
That they are.
Guys there. And as always, one of them is high and the other is low.
Yep.
And that's what make our edge rushers dominate, bro. That what make us dominate.
Well, go ahead.
Now, right. 93, Dominique and Sue, come on, man.
That's the next one you would sign? That's the guy you would sign next? Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah, and right, I'm not gonna forget about my kicker, Ryan Sucker. Hey man, let's get around a little money, man.
Yeah.
Ryan, come on back out here. Because he did better than the last couple of kickers that we had in a while, man.
Right.
That guy did. Right. I think he missed like maybe 3 or 4 this season. I ain't for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But he made
90% of his kicks this year.
Right. 96 of his kicks he had made them, bro. And it's like, bring him back, man. I say let's get Sue and Ryan back, man. Ryan a sucker. Hey, Brock. I knew Brock wasn't going nowhere.
Oh, I agree with you on that. But
Brock took a neighborhood deal for that. He took the 813 discount.
Well, I mean, again, according to Greg Allman of The Athletic, again, avoidable years played a part into it. It's a 4-year deal. But again, those voidable years on Gronkowski's contract, it's a 1-year deal with 4 voidable years. So his cap hit is only $4.8 million. $4 million in base salary, $4 million in bonus prorated for the cap over 5 seasons. So they spread out the money. They do these voidable years, and this is how they make this cap work.
Yeah, and then, right, and you said something tonight that I was really listening to.
Yeah.
Because if nobody else did not believe the Godfather when he told 5-4 at the parade, your ass ain't going nowhere.
Right. I mean, that's what BA's been saying. He said it all last year. He said it at the parade.
And when he tell you are not going nowhere, you better believe it. Because, Levante say, well, yeah, I would love to come back. And my man got up there and said, you ain't going nowhere.
That's it. Exactly.
You're not going nowhere. And now, Antonio Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, man. Come on.
Yeah, so you think he's coming back, but the first guy you're going to sign is Sue. Is that what you're saying, Mr. Williams?
We'll give him, man, I give him a 2-year deal.
Okay.
Because I'm going to tell you, everybody, all of the pieces that we needed, our quarterback took it down and left everything on the table for his team.
Agree.
Right, like right now, I will tell anybody, right now, Tom wants to cover up 3 more fingers, and he out of here.
Okay.
Think about it. Tom want to cover up 3 more fingers, and I'm gone.
Well, and he sure might be able to do that, won't he? I mean, because he resigned the majority of your players. Mr. Williams, tell you what, we got to run. We got former offensive tackle Leon Searcy coming on here. Definitely give me a call back, and we'll talk more. Right, boss?
All right, my man.
All right, there you go. Good stuff there, Mr. Williams. Let me go ahead and fire those cannons for him. And let me go ahead and give him a Ric Flair woo. And again, we're going to hold off. Well, we're going to hold off on the phone calls if I stop playing that Ric Flair sound. We're going to go out to former offensive tackle, 3-time national champion for the Miami Hurricanes, former offensive tackle in the National Football League for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Jacksonville Jaguars, also signed a big contract with the Ravens. This guy was an elite tackle in his day. Let's go out to Mr. Leon Searcy. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television, my friend. And we're talking about free agency and what this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team did. Welcome to the evolution.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And I know you have some good memories about free agency. Go ahead and share some of those, because I know you got a big deal from Jacksonville. Like I said, you were an elite tackle. Talk about that free agency process, and what transpired. Take us kind of behind the back curtain, if you will.
Free agency. My free agent year was 1996. It was a couple of months right after we lost the Super Bowl to the Dallas Cowboys. So I was still a little distraught about that. And I remember talking to Coach Cowher, and Coach Cowher felt that we had an opportunity to probably run it back next year. And he wanted to keep all the key components to the team on board. And I was one of the key components. I just happened to be a free agent. My agent at the time was Rosenhaus. And I told Drew that the Steelers get the first dibs on everything. I wasn't really concerned about leaving the Pittsburgh Steelers. I wanted to be a Steeler for life. But the process was a slow process, and I kept asking Drew, what's the problem? Why haven't the Steelers wanted to sign me? And he was saying, well, Leon, quite honestly, they don't think that you're worth the money that you're asking for. And I didn't believe him initially until Drew, put a rabbit out of his hat. He called the Steelers and had me on 3-way. And me being 24 years old and not understanding the art of negotiating, we start high, they're low, and we meet somewhere in the middle. I heard the Steelers basically tell me, I was a system player. I didn't deserve to be the highest paid offensive lineman on the line. DeMonte Dawson did. And I only really came into my own the last couple of years. So I got upset. I let emotions tie into it, not understanding the process of negotiating. And then a couple of days later, Drew had Jacksonville on the table. And then I took the contract from there. I went and became a Jaguar.
So there is some type of regret there because you thought that they could additionally run it back. Let's just go ahead and get into a time machine. You're in your prime. You're on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You have a chance to go to free agency. What Tom Brady has done, would that influence you more to run it back with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers if you had the chance?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Tom Brady's got to be one of the most unselfish players in NFL history, quite honest, because he cares more about rings than he does money. Now, he's made a boatload of money while he's played, especially early on in his career. But he understands at this point of his career, it's more about championships. And, he wants to keep the band together. So by keeping the band, he wants to keep key components to their offense and their defense side of the ball, on the team. And, they've got a team right now. If they could collectively keep all the guys that they had, that they won the Super Bowl. I mean, you're in Dominican Suze, you just got Shaq Barrett signed up. You keep Antonio Brown, keep Gronk, keep those guys together. He understands that there'll be a legitimate team to come out of the NFC. I mean, I don't see any other team outside of maybe Green Bay that could probably give them a challenge. I mean, the Saints just lost Drew Brees. I look at the NFC is wide open for Tampa to repeat again, as the NFC champions, because right now they're keeping all their key components together, and the centerpiece of all of that is Tom Brady. He's the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time, not the GOAT, the GOAT, period. He's the greatest quarterback to ever play the game of football.
Well, don't tell Cameron Jordan that, because obviously Mr. Jordan thinks that Breeze is the greatest of all time, but I agree with you on that. Tom Brady is the greatest of all time. Talk about this move with Shaq Barrett, $17 million. You're trying to block him. What makes Shaq so destructive, and how would you block him? How difficult would it be to have that matchup in the NFL today?
Well, the one thing that Shaq Barrett does so well is that he's elusive. He never gives the offensive lineman a sheer target. He gives them, half a body, no body, shoulders. He's great with his hands. He's got a good leap, jump, step on offensive linemen, especially those that are leaning and aren't moving their feet. This is the type of guy that he's a 4 days job. I mean, you're going to definitely have to block him, for 60 minutes of football because he had great speed. He's got great elusiveness, but he's also very physical with his hands. He's got a good bull rush and he's got great speed. So, I mean, if you're an offensive lineman, he's going to be a nightmare for you if you're not sound technique-wise and fundamental-wise because, I mean, he's the total package in my opinion.
And I tell you right now, this guy was the total package when he was a tackle in the National Football League for the Steelers, the Jaguars. Even signed a big deal for the Ravens. Unfortunately, injury happened. Again, he was an elite tackle, Mr. Leon Searcy. I call you Leon Searcy Jr. here on the Evolution, the Sports Talk Television here, the Sports Web, live on Bucs Report. How difficult is this defensive line overall? We talked about Shaq, but JPP, Vita Vea, and Ndamukong Suh. You kind of said it. The Bucs were going to win 26-21, and we pointed it out with those 2 tackles for the Chiefs, how difficult it would be. How difficult is this defensive line, in your opinion, to block?
They're very difficult. I mean, the defensive ends might get all the attention, but if you're an offensive lineman, you understand that your pass rush has a lot to do with what you do in the middle of the pocket. And they're 1 technique and they're 3 technique. They definitely push the pocket. They make it very hard on the offensive lineman up front, especially in the middle. And then, if you push the pocket up in the middle in front of the quarterback, then now he has nowhere to step up. And now those defensive ends have a shorter corner to get to the quarterback. So as much as Shaq Bennett gets Pierre Paul get all the attention, I know being an offensive lineman that your ability to push that middle of that pocket and shorten that, giving the quarterback not the opportunity to step up is the reason why they're so effective as pass rushers, because of what those 2 guys do in the middle.
Talk about this Bucs offensive line a little bit, Leon. I mean, you have Tristan Wirfs only give up 1 sack as a rookie. I mean, kind of put that in perspective. What's the most difficult aspect for a rookie coming into the league?
Just the nature and the speed of the game. I mean, what he's done has been very impressive, to be quite honest with you. I mean, to be a top 10 pick and then to actually come in and shine the way he's shined, he's going to be a future All-Pro. I think right now he's at right tackle, but I think as he grooms more and he gets a couple of years under his feet, he's going to be a solid left tackle somewhere in the future because the kid's just he's too phenomenal as an athlete to just, I don't want to say waste him on the right side, but I'm telling you, this kid, 2 or 3 years from now, you'll be able to move this kid to left tackle, and he could be your left tackle for the future because he's that good, he's that sound, he's that physical, and he understands the game at a faster pace than most left tackles do. It usually takes an offensive lineman a couple of years to get themselves situated, and he damn near he's got it going on as a rookie. So he's going to be a perennial All-Pro for you in the future, and I think that somewhere down the road, maybe within the next year or 2, depending on your situation at left tackle, he'll be prominent enough to be able to move from the right side to the left side.
What do you think about that left side? Donovan Smith has come under fire from the fan base, but this year really came into his own. What do you see from a Smith on that left side? What did you see the improvements this year? What did he do differently to be a lot better than he was in years past, in your opinion?
Well, what he did differently is that Tom Brady's in the huddle. Listen. I said this from day one. When Tom Brady steps in that huddle for your team, your level expectation and play has risen. I don't care who you are. If you're the left tackle, the right tackle, the interior of the offensive line, the running game, the wide receiver, when you've got that kind of sachet, that kind of charisma in your huddle, you've got to play well because Tom will call you out. And rightfully so. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's been around greatness all his life and has expounded upon greatness all his life. And if you're in the huddle and you're not getting it done, he'll let you know. So I'm not surprised this play went better. He played well because of the fact that he's got Tom Brady in the freaking huddle. And if you can't block for the greatest of all time, then you don't need to be in the league.
With that being said, going back to Wirfs and Smith, and you said Brady had an impact. Do you think you had an advantage? Do you think Wirfs had an advantage simply because he had to block a Shaq and a JPP every day, much like you had to block a guy by the name of Greg Lloyd, avoid Lloyd and Kevin Green? Do you think there was an advantage there? And on that second question, talk about that. Did that give you an advantage when you had to basically pass block versus a Lloyd and a Kevin Green?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Having to go up against those kind of guys every day in practice definitely made me a better player. I mean, Kevin Green passed away. My brother passed away a couple of months ago, actually on my birthday. But we had some intense battles. We actually didn't like each other on the practice field, but we didn't care. We knew that we were getting each other better. He made me better because I knew that whoever I was going to see on Sunday was probably not going to be as elite of a pass rusher as Kevin Green was. So sometimes after practice, I would even ask Kevin Green to work with me on some more pass rushes because I knew he was that good, and I knew that whoever I saw on Sunday, it wasn't going to be as good as Kevin Green. So I'm grateful for that. And yeah, Wirfs, I mean, he definitely, when you're going up against those kind of guys every day in practice, and you're asking questions when you get beat and what'd you do, what'd you see, whatever. And you can't be too prideful. If you're a rookie guy and you got a veteran guy and he beats you on the move, you want to ask him, hey, what did you see? What did I do? How did I tip? Did I lean? Did I lunge? Did I not move my feet? And, 9 times out of 10, those guys are going to tell you what they saw and how they reacted to it. So you're only going to get better. I mean, that's another reason why he's going to be a perennial all-pro. Wirfs, because he's going up against elite talent every day in practice, which is going to only make him better.
Leon, talk about the differences between a Lloyd and a Green. What made them so great, especially a Green? And then on top of that, do you think the NFL does enough for their former players? Because recently, Vincent Jackson of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers passed away, San Diego Chargers. In your opinion, do you think the NFL does enough for their former players?
Well, first off, Kevin Green and then Greg Lloyd, they were motivated. They were self-motivated. They didn't need anybody to get them going because they love the game of football. And they practiced their craft every day in practice, after practice, and study film. So they were the consummate professionals. And then what you saw on Sunday was relative to what they did throughout the whole week. They got after it. As far as the former players, I think we're in a situation right now where it's kind of taboo to talk about mental health, especially around about former players. And, a lot of players have collectively had head damage and trauma for playing in the NFL. And because we've been programmed, indoctrinated to be tough, be strong, suck it up, don't cry, don't let people know about what you're going through. Unfortunately, there's a lot of tormented souls out there that used to play football that's not seeking help. I don't know if that's the situation with who passed away, Vincent Jackson, but I know that I've been on the phone with former players who wanted to kill themselves and had to talk about the edge. So I know that the mental health is an issue with a lot of former players, and because they're so prideful and strong and taught to be that way, they're not able to humble themselves enough to actually go and get help. And we definitely need to talk more about it because, I'm getting tired of hearing about my former compadres passing away before they're 40.
What do you think the NFL should do? Should they set aside a fund? A lot of critics would say, well, that's why you get paid $1 million. You put your, what the risk is at the end of the day. But again, at the end of the day, that's the reason why you get paid so much money, because the life expectancy is cut short, and that's disappointing. So in your opinion, should the NFL put aside money for former players? In your opinion, if you were in charge of the NFL, what would you do for your compadres?
Oh, well, don't get me wrong. The NFL is doing a lot when it comes to former players and their mental health and helping them out. But just continue to do it. Just continue to fund it. And I would encourage a lot of former players who are out there that if you got issues, you're not the only one. See, a lot of guys don't come out and talk about their issues because they think they're isolated, that they're the only ones that have these problems. But collectively, there's a lot of former players that struggle with, the injuries and the head trauma and the psychological damage that the NFL can cause to you after you finish playing the game. And to the fans out there, they're absolutely right. I mean, this is what we signed up for, but that still doesn't make it right. Just because we signed up for it doesn't make it right. A lot of these players are having to struggle physically and mentally with the damage that the NFL caused, after they finish playing. So, I do applaud the NFL in some perspectives that they do a lot, but you can always do more. If it's going to save lives, you can always do more.
And we're on with former offensive tackle Leon Searcy Jr. here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Talk about this book that you have, Fourth Down and Damn. Tell us all about it, what it's all about, and what it entails, because a very interesting story, of course, that people don't know. You were on the You documentary on ESPN and also broke. So, kind of take us behind the, tell us about what this book is all about, please.
Well, the book is called Fourth Down and Damn, a Lineman Story. It's my autobiography. It's about my life growing up in Washington, D.C., going to a high school, only playing 1 year high school football, going to University of Miami, there 5 years, 3 national championships, only lost 4 games in 5 years. Some of the great games, some of the great stuff, inside the locker room, outside the locker room, outside of, some of the stuff that I did at Miami. First round pick, some of the ins and outs, ups and downs, highs and lows. It's just, it's a collaboration of, a lot of amazing stories. And I look back at my life and I just said, I had an amazing life, and a lot of highs, a lot of lows, and then rose again like a phoenix. So I just wanted people to not only the book was therapeutical for me, but also I want the book to be a precautionary tale for young athletes going into the NFL, that there are a lot of entrapments that a lot of these players are lured into by your agent, by your financial guy, by women, by friends. So I'm just laying down the truth about what the NFL is all about, and what life after football for me has been all about. The book is doing outstanding. The book was actually number 1 on Amazon Hot New Releases last year. It's still gathering momentum with me and Mike Brodsky, the co-author of the book. We're going to do the audio books for it sometime next month. And they're also in the works of writing the script for the book. So I'm excited. This has been a 10-year project for me. It's so happy to see it manifest into people who have enjoyed it. I've been getting 5-star ratings all throughout the book, and people, I'm more so proud of the book is that a lot of these high school kids and kids in college are persons in the book because I'm real and raw about my experiences, in college and in the NFL. And I just don't want the next so-called Leon Searcy to have to, go through some of the pitfalls that I had to come out of while I was playing.
Do you think it's gotten better with the young players in the National Football League? Have you, because you still have connections to the league, do you still see some players spending way too much money or doing some financial things that don't necessarily make sense? Do you think that's gotten better in the league?
I don't think it's gotten better because the statistics still say that, 78% of the athletes that leave the NFL broke, and 85% of the athletes that are in the NFL are black. So that's a huge disparity when it comes to economics. Until those statistics change, they need to continue to do more, because that's a huge number. When you're telling me that 7 out of 10 athletes that come into the NFL leave the NFL broke, that's a huge problem.
Yeah, and I think your book helps out with that because you have the experience in the league. It's not like, some guy like me trying to tell you how to spend your money. First, I can't budget my money in the first place, so I'm not the one to ask. But somebody who has that experience, you can definitely, shed some light on that and have an impact on these younger players. besides a Lloyd and a Green, what was one of your toughest matchups that you had to face in your NFL career, and why?
Probably Warren Sapp's mouth. That's my boy. That's my boy, but he's a trash talking king. A lot of people don't know this, and I know this is like Bucs radio, but I was Warren Sapp's host at University of Miami, and he's still talking to this day. He talked me to death when I was his host at Miami, and he's still talking today. So my boy Sapp, I love him, but his mouth is probably the most dangerous defensive player I've ever gone up against.
Greatest defensive tackle of all time, in your opinion, Mr. Sapp?
He's up there. He's definitely up there. But Sapp was on the other side, so I never really went up against Sapp when we played against him. But I did go up against a Reggie White, and Reggie White is probably the toughest he is the toughest defensive player that ever gone up against. He didn't get a sack on me, but he didn't hump me neither, but he had me on my toes about 4 or 5 times. Just a powerful presence. He just had a mystique, that just was just legendary. And I tell you what I did. It was the last game of the season. I was with the Steelers. We played them in Green Bay, and we lost by 5 points. Yancey Thigpen dropped a touchdown in the end zone, and I remember being depressed after the game because we lost. And this guy comes up behind me and grabs me by the shoulder and turns me around, and it's Reggie White. And he said, "You had a good game, kid." And I said, "Thank you, Mr. White." So, that kind of validated me. When Reggie White said that I could play in the league, then I figured, hey, I could play in the league.
Love it. The minister of defense right there, Reggie White, probably the greatest of all time. That swipe that he used to basically give guys, just hit him his hand over the helmet. In your opinion, did you ever get hit like that and you saw it? Do you think the NFL should have outlawed it? Because it seemed like it was pretty effective for White.
Well, it was actually called the hump move.
Okay.
I don't recall him slapping people in the head with it, but I remember if he hit you in the head, then he just hit you in the head. But it was called the hump move. And what Reggie would do is he would tilt his body towards you at an angle, so he would never tilt which way he was coming. And most of the time, offensive linemen would overset him, and Reggie would run up on him and get them leaning one way and take his arm and put it underneath their arm and then flip their body over. And that was called the hump move. It was a devastating move, and he did it so quickly. So if you weren't ready for Reggie, he would embarrass you. Trust me. He would definitely embarrass you.
How do you get ready? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And urban legend was you couldn't curse Reggie White, because if you cursed him, he would tell you, "Son, don't curse." And if he had to tell you twice, he would line up across from you and say, "I'm coming and I'm bringing Jesus with me." So that was urban legend that never cursed Reggie, and I never cursed him.
How do you get ready? How do you get ready for a Reggie White? Honestly, how do you prepare?
You don't prepare for Reggie. All you do is you latch in and hold on. All right, that's what you do. It's like going on a roller coaster ride. You just buckle up, because it's going to be an all-day event. Trust me.
Wow. You talked about, contacting Sapp, and he was, you were his host. Anybody else from the Miami Hurricane program that you still stay in contact with?
Oh, I stay in contact with all the fellas.
Okay.
That's the reason why we call ourselves family, is because that's how we treat each other. If we go too long without hearing from one another, or we'll call and check on each other. Sapp, Ed Reed, Ray, Reggie Wayne, Lamar Thomas, my man Horace Copeland. We went to high school together.
Former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, right there, High C.
Yeah, High C. That's my man. I was also a High C's host at Miami too. Yeah. So that's one thing about Miami players. The reason why we had so much success back in the day is because we did treat each other like family. And we cared. We honestly cared about how you were doing, and we checked on one another. That's what made our bond so strong, and why we had so much success back in the the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, because we had a genuine love for one another.
You contact Dwayne Johnson because he was also on that team, was he not? In fact, wasn't he the backup to Warren Sapp?
He was. He was. His nickname in college was Dewey. I think Sapp gave him the name Dewey back in the yeah, I remember Dwayne. Dwayne was a solid player. He wasn't an elite player, maybe like a Warren Sapp, but he was a hard worker. He got after it in the weight room. He played physical all the time. He just unfortunately happened to be at Miami, where one of the greatest Canes of all time is there, and that's Warren Sapp. So, but he's still a Cane. And you see him when he does. He's a mega superstar now, Hollywood movie star now, but he still reps the U. I see him sometime on the red carpet throw up the U. So he still loves being a Miami Hurricane, and proud to have him a part of the family.
Your buddy Kevin Green, he was in WCW. He did a wrestling stint. You talk about Dwayne Johnson. He's doing a wrestling stint. Ever think about, if not for the injuries, to get into that line of business maybe?
Oh, hell no. No.
How come?
I have problems getting out the bed. Can you see me on a freaking top tier of the rope jumping off of it? Hell no, not me. No.
All right, good stuff. Good stuff. So, favorite college memory at the U. And I gotta tell you, I gotta preface this. This pains me because I grew up as a Florida State fan, and that program absolutely tortured Florida State for so many years, including field goals. So, your favorite memory at the U?
Well, my condolences for you.
That's okay.
My favorite memory at the U. I could be a stickler and kind of say, when we beat Florida State up there in 1991, 1-2. No, but I'm not going to even go there. That was a great game, though. That was a great game. I think my fondest memory at the University of Miami is probably my last game. I actually allude to this in my book. It was 1992. We played Nebraska in the Orange Bowl. We were the number one team in the country. We played Nebraska. We beat for a national championship, 22-0. And I remember after the game being in the Orange Bowl and hugging Mario Cristobal, and I remember crying. And the reason why I was crying is not because we won a national championship. I was crying because I knew that would be the last time I would ever put on a University of Miami uniform. I'm standing on the 50-yard line. There's confetti falling. The Orange Bowl is packed. We just won a national championship, and I remember looking up at the scoreboard and looking at the Orange Bowl and say, "Wow, it's been a hell of a ride, but I'm never ever going to put on this uniform again." And I just remember starting to cry, just because the whole emotion. I tell the people this all the time. We actually had Jimmy Johnson on our show a couple of weeks ago. And I told them, thank you, because University of Miami taught me how to be a champion. I was a pretty green coming out of high school. I only played 1 year high school, and I was going to the University of freaking Miami. And I just know that my times there, my 5 years in Miami, was some of the greatest times that I ever had as an athlete. Period. And people ask me all the time, Leon, what's your team? Is it Steelers? Is it Jaguars? I said, no, my team is the Miami Hurricanes. That's my team. That's the team that I will always call home, because they raised me. They made me the player that I was because of what I did at University of Miami.
Talk about Jimmy Johnson. What's it like? What's he like as a coach? And what are the differences between him and Bill Cowher? Are they any different? Because you always hear, that Johnson is kind of no nonsense, but he's more of a player's coach. And then Cowher, you have the chin. Go ahead and map out the differences between both of those coaches.
Well, there really isn't any real difference between the two. Both of them are obsessed with winning. Both of them hold you completely responsible, accountable for every play on the field. And they're both player coaches, and they hate losing. I was blessed to have had Jimmy my first 2 years in Miami, then Dennis Erickson, and then going to the league for a guy like Bill Cowher. So, I mean, I think about my whole career in the NFL. I had some amazing coaches that I, was under their tenure. So, yeah, there's no real difference. They're both passionate about what they do. They're both in the Hall of Fame. They're both they hate losing, and they want toughness. Their teams exemplify who they are. You could tell a lot about a Jimmy Johnson team by the way they play. The same way with Bill Cowher by the way they play, because your team is your resume when it comes to coaching. So it's no surprise that those Cowboy teams were so great back then, and it's no surprise that those Steelers teams, when Bill Cowher under his tenure, were great as well.
Now, there's a story out there during the draft process. You actually thought you were going to be a Cowboy, but it turns out you were a Steeler. Go ahead and elaborate on that a little bit, because it looked like you were going to be a Cowboy, but that was not didn't come to be, right?
Yeah. Well, this was actually in my book. It was draft day, and this was when the draft was at noon. It's not the 8 o'clock prime time showing that it is now. And I took a walk with my father early in the morning. He kind of wanted me to walk around the neighborhood where I grew up, so I wouldn't forget where I came from. I get back to the house, and there's media people all in my front yard about 2 hours before the draft, and they're asking me to interview and everything, and I'm telling them no, I can't, I won't do it until after I get drafted. But there was one particular guy who was there that my father knew.
Mm-hmm.
His name was Stuart Scott. So Stuart Scott was actually the first guy to interview me when I got drafted in 1992, because he was a sportscaster in Orlando before he hit the big time on ESPN. So the draft, it's about 10 o'clock, and I'm sitting downstairs in the den with my family, and I get a phone call about 10:30, and it's Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson asks me, I think the Cowboys had the 17th pick at that particular time. And Jimmy asked me if I wanted to be a Cowboy. And I said, absolutely. I would love to be a Cowboy. My dad was already a big Cowboy fan anyway, so that would have been perfect. So typical Jimmy Johnson, I expected him to ask. He asked me if I was going to hold out. And I said, no, coach. I said, if the money's right, I'll be in camp. He said, well, we just had a representative. It just just landed in Orlando. Who's going to be at your house in about 30 minutes. So I was like, cool. So my agent was already there. So this guy comes in, big burly white guy comes in there with a cowboy hat, cowboy boots, goes in my kitchen, grabs a beer, doesn't even ask, walks downstairs in the den, and he goes back there with my agent, and they start negotiating my contract. Draft comes on, a couple of picks go by. I get a call about the 8th pick, and it's Bill Cowher. Bill Cowher is Leon, we've got the 11th pick in the draft. He said, you're going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. And I was a little confused because the Cowboys were at my house in the back of my den doing the negotiating. So we get to the 11th pick in the draft. They say Leon Cersei, everybody in the den goes crazy. It's a frenzy. And so the Cowboy guy takes up the contract. He rips the contract up. And he has the jersey. He has a Cowboy jersey on. He has a Cowboy jersey across his shoulder that says Cersei, and it has 73 for one of my number when I played at Miami. So he's about to leave, and I asked the guy, I say, hey, man, let me get that jersey before you leave. You don't need it. And he turns around to me, and he says, son, understand this. He said, you're a Steeler now. And he said, a Cowboy, I never give a Steeler nothing.
Wow. So, and at 73, I think that turned out to be Larry Allen. Is that not correct?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. All right. So any regrets about that? I know you play with the Steelers, but is there any, you had an opportunity to play with a Jimmy Johnson, a Michael Irvin, who was also a Cane. There were some Canes on that team. No regret?
No regrets at all. I mean, no regrets at all. I mean, I got a friend of mine who's a diehard. I got a friend of mine who's my cigar partner. His name is Howard Gums, who's a diehard Steeler fan. Cowboy fan. He tells me all the time. He says, man, if you went to the Cowboys, you have 6 rings right now. You had 3 national championships and 3 Super Bowl rings. I said, I don't care nothing about that. I love playing for Pittsburgh. I loved absolutely everything about being a Steeler. I love the city. I love the fans. I love the toughness about being a Pittsburgh Steeler. So I don't have any regrets at all. I had a great 4 years in Pittsburgh while I was there.
Now, I know you have some connection with Jacksonville and talking about the draft process. Urban Meyer's coming in much like a Jimmy Johnson. In your opinion, do you think he can be successful with the Jaguars, even with the Trevor Lawrence? And in your opinion, how many years do you think it takes the Jaguars to really be playoff competitive?
Well, you know what? Just from Urban Meyer's interviews, just from some of the press conferences that he has, he's not here to rebuild. I think that's the notion by a lot of the fan base and a lot of the people and around the NFL is that Urban's here to rebuild. Urban doesn't come across as the type of person that's trying to rebuild. He's going to have to definitely change the culture there. I think that the culture of losing in Jacksonville over the last decade or so has been immense. So he's going to have to come in there and he's got to shake a lot of trees. And he's got people that don't want to buy into his philosophy of what he's doing or how he's coaching. He's got to get rid of them. You know, he's got to get rid of it. He's got to get his people in. He's got to get his people in free agency. He's got to get his people in through the draft process and build this thing from the bottom up. So I like the hire. It's off the cuff. I was waiting for Shad Khan to do something off the cuff. I think over the last 8 years that he's been here, all he's done is replaced bad coaches with bad coaches underneath their regime. So I think that Urban Meyer is off the cuff, you know, out of the box type of hire. And I like what Urban has done as far as going after coaches with experience in the NFL. And coaches that are going to teach them about the process of everything with free agency and the draft and all that other kind of stuff. And plus, you know, he's a good friend of Coach Johnson. You know, we had Coach Johnson on the show, and he said he spoke to our Herb about you know, the decision about rebuilding and that, because a lot of people don't remember that when Jimmy Johnson took over with the Cowboys, they went 1-15. He had to get rid of a lot of that bad culture there with the Cowboys, and start bringing some of his guys in. And Jimmy was able to flip the script like 3 years later. Next thing you know, they're Super Bowl champions. Not only are Super Bowl champions, they're back-to-back Super Bowl champions. But Urban's going to have to build through the draft. He's going to have to get a lot of good young talent. And then they got to buy into his philosophy. If he's winning football games, they're going to buy into his philosophy. If he's not winning, then he's going to lose. He's going to lose the players real quick. So, but I expect him to do well and win early.
All right, good stuff. And one final question. I was thinking about this the other day with the draft process, and it seems like there are so many busts now with offensive line. Has spread offenses in college football kind of ruined the offensive lineman's development? You used to coach at FIU. What do you say? And what's the difference between a spread offense and a regular pro-style offense that would make an offensive lineman not necessarily develop so quickly?
Well, here's the thing. I like the spread offenses because it puts up points. I mean, this is a quarterback-driven league, and nobody wants to see a 6-3 game, all right? People want to see 35-30, 41-40, whatever. They want points. But it has effectively disenfranchised some offensive line play, not all, but some offensive line play, just for the simple fact is that there's not a lot of technique involved in spread because the ball comes out so quickly. And the ball, you know, it's a zone read. You go through your progressions, get rid of the football. And it's a lot of 3-step drop. And unfortunately, a lot of offensive linemen don't understand that in this game, that techniques and fundamental. And I'm a stickler. I'm a bit of a dinosaur. I'm a stickler on techniques and fundamental, you know, doing the right things, inside foot heavy, pushing off, right angles, punch, sit, be physical with your hands, cut them off before they gain momentum, all that kind of stuff. I'm a stickler on that because I knew I was a 6'3.5", 305-pound offensive lineman. And that I knew that I wouldn't have played as long as I had played if I wasn't efficient with my technique and fundamentals. So, yeah, I do like the spread. I like the spread. I like the quarter. It is a quarterback-driven league. I like the putting up the points and everything, but it has affected some of the offensive line play because they're lured into thinking that what the techniques that they're doing now is efficient enough. But if they go up against elite pass rushers, they'll get exposed.
Always will go with the whole facet of drafting an offensive lineman is a lot better than necessarily drafting a quarterback or a wide receiver, because it's a certainty that more than likely you're going to get a guy possibly like a Tristan Wirfs, right?
Yes, you're absolutely.
All right, good stuff. Leon Searcy Jr., former NFL offensive tackle for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Jacksonville Jaguars, 3-time national champion for the Miami Hurricanes. Go ahead and promote yourself in this book, 4th Down and Damn.
Well, you can purchase the book on Amazon.com, or you can go to LeonSearcy.com and purchase the book. 4th Down and Damn Alignment Store. You can go to Amazon.com to purchase it. Had a great time doing the book. Hope you enjoy it, and if you do enjoy it, write a review. If you don't enjoy it, I doubt it. Likely, yeah, I'm pretty sure you're going to enjoy it. But yeah, the audio books is going to come out next month, and probably a movie theater near you somewhere probably next year. We got someone right now that's going to be writing the script for the movie, so I'm excited about it, and I appreciate all the fans that have bought the book so far. And if you're ever in Jacksonville and you buy the book, come to the radio station, 1010 XL, 92.5 FM, the flagship station of the Jaguars, and I will personalize and sign it for you as well.
All right, there you go. We definitely got to get you on the Sports Web, because I absolutely enjoyed all the stories that you had to share. Real quick, who would play you in a movie? Leon Searcy, young Leon Searcy, who would you like to play in a movie? Because I know you had The Blind Side there. Michael Orr wasn't too keen on the guy that played him. Who would you have play you in a movie?
I don't know. I mean, whoever it is, he's got to be big and sexy, because that's one. He's got to be big and sexy. So I would definitely make sure that I cast myself well in the movie. Trust me.
All right, there you go. Leon Searcy right there. Thanks a lot for the time on the Evolution. We'll definitely get you on again. All right, boss?
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right, good stuff there. I mean, again, guys, if you don't like that, I don't know what you like. I mean, that guy's giving you stories about SAP, about the University of Miami. I could tolerate it. I told you. I'm a Florida State fan. I love that. That was a great interview. We'll get him back on again. Again, 4th Down and Damn. Definitely check it out. Let's go back out to the webheads, and then we'll get Jacob Charnow of the Hard Count Football Podcast. And again, open phone lines. Thanks a lot, guys, for being patient, but a lot of great information there about being a free agent, offensive tackle at the University of Miami, facing a Reggie White. And we'll get that interview up on Bucs Report and, of course, on my Facebook wall. We're not friends. We should be. Peter H. Blake, go and friend me there, and we'll get it up there. All right, let's go out to Christopher Cole. And there was some breaking news. Really quick, 1-year deal for the New Orleans Saints. $12 million for Jameis Winston. All right, let's go out to the phone lines. Curtis, welcome to the Evolution. How you doing tonight, my friend?
I mean, I'm big and sexy. I can play that role.
There you go. Hit him up. I mean, I'm making dreams come true at this point. So, as long as I get a percentage here, Curtis, go for it.
That's right. That's right.
All right, man. What's on your mind,
bro? Man, listen. How could you not be good when it looks like our team is just coming back together?
Well, and not to pat myself on the back, because I don't want to necessarily become my former co-host Sean the Sports Don in a radio station in a galaxy far, far away. But I was kind of expecting this, to tell you the truth. I mean, when Tom Brady restructured, when guys were talking about going for 2 to me, and then Jason lied and BA, said, how many times did he say it at the parade? 3 times? He's 3 for 3. Your ass ain't going nowhere. That's what he said, and I'll take BA at his word. So,
and I've heard a rumor that people focus on Levante David and Devin White a lot, but they say that all those guys, JPP, Shaq, Devin White, and Levante David, they say those guys are so close together.
Yeah,
that it would have looked probably. I didn't hear this, but I could imagine it would have been like losing a brother.
Well, I mean, this team right now seems very, very close, don't they?
and well, you seen it with your own eyes how close those guys were together last year. They would always pick each other up when they were down.
Right. Agree. Absolutely agree. And they had to because this team went through a lot of adverse situations with injuries, not knowing if they're going to have a season, no off-season reps, everything like that. Just think about this. Most likely, knock on wood, if hopefully there's no pandemic at this point, you're going to have those off-season reps back. You're going to have that training camp back. You're going to have the preseason back. And then you got an experienced team that is hitting their stride at the end of the season after they won the Super Bowl. And they are super confident. So I feel like this team is going to be even better than they were last year. You agree?
Absolutely. And see, okay, absolutely. And, what I want people to touch on is listen, we're going to lose Leonard Fournette.
I think so too. Yeah, I definitely think that.
Happen.
Okay.
It's going to happen. But I believe in that kid, Keyshawn Vaughn.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with him and Ronald Jones, I think we're going to have a nice 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
Because Keyshawn Vaughn showed a couple sparks last year, but he was a rookie. If he made a mistake, everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah. Agree.
Tristan Wirfs didn't make too many mistakes, but
yeah, 1 sack. And you heard from Leon there talking about how difficult it is to come into the league, and you just put it in perspective again with no off-season reps and to only give up 1 sack. Tremendous. He can only get better, right?
That kid he played so amazing this season.
Mm-hmm.
That I hated that offensive linemen don't get the credibility as looking at offensive defensive player of the year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that. You go 16 games and you give up 1 sack the whole season.
1 sack as a rookie, and he didn't play this. He played more than 16 games, right? Played 20 games.
Well, not only that, but he was playing top tier talent almost every week.
Yep. And it wasn't always helped by Gronkowski. Gronkowski sometimes was on the left side. Gronkowski sometimes was going out. But you're exactly right. He got help, but at the end of the day, he shut down some premier pass rushers. Who could forget Aaron Donald? Oh, I didn't know from Aaron.
Hold on.
I didn't hear from Aaron Donald. This is what I heard from Aaron. Yeah, exactly. Nothing.
Absolutely. And who did he give up his sack to? Wasn't it Khalil Mack?
I believe it was Khalil Mack. I think it was Khalil Mack or Robert Quinn, one of those guys. I'm pretty sure it was Khalil.
If you give up a sack to Khalil Mack, how could you be,
right.
He's Khalil Mack.
It's Khalil Mack. Right.
Come on, are you serious?
1 sack the whole year, and it's one of the premier pass rushers in the Khalil Mack. So not too bad.
And there's 32 teams in the league. Every team in the league would take Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
Drop of a hat.
Agree. Absolutely agree. Completely agree. So.
But no, man, I'm excited, and it looks like our team is coming back together, and I'm ready to watch Antonio Brown re-sign his contract because I feel like it's coming.
Well, they got to get a reality show. If Antonio Brown is going to stay in Tom Brady's house, I feel like they're missing out on a golden opportunity to have a reality show. Of course, not a train wreck. I think a lot of people would like to see that, but you don't want to see a train wreck. But
I think it'll be the most beautiful reality show because, I feel like Tom and Antonio will be doing something, and Giselle would come out of nowhere and be like, hey, y'all need to get y'all stuff together, man. What the hell y'all got going on in my
house? All right, Curtis, let me go ahead and fire those cannons for you, my friend. Let me go ahead and give you a Ric Flair right there. I think a lot of Bucs fans right now feel that Ric Flair woo after.
Listen, if you're a Bucs fan and you don't have the adrenaline pumping through your veins of excitement, something's wrong with you.
Look, this is my second show today. I didn't have to come on tonight. I could have told.
I know it is. I caught some of your clips earlier.
Yeah,
but I was really, really busy hanging out with the kids today. So.
Hey, man, you got to do what you got to do. So I'm glad you're calling.
It's spring break and people are getting these stimulus checks, so they're going crazy, man. So,
yeah. Well, you get that stimulus check. Take care of it, man. Save it. Don't.
No, you know what? I'm gonna spend all my stimulus checks. I'm gonna get me a Levante David jersey and a Devin White jersey, and You might as well. I'm gonna get me a Tristan Wirfs jersey. Why not?
All right, good stuff, man. I appreciate you. We'll go ahead and let you go here. Definitely call back if you got something else on your mind. All right.
All right, brother.
All right, appreciate you. There you go, Curtis. One of my favorite webheads out there. Let's go out to the webheads here on the text line. Sorry, guys, didn't mean to neglect you, but when you got Leon Searcy Jr. on, a former offensive tackle, you got to do that interview the way it does. Suck Up should be the next man up, him or Sue. That's the question for the night. Is it for you, Suck Up? Is it Sue? Is it Brown? Is it Fournette? 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web, brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts. For all your auto parts needs, it's Advanced Auto Parts. And tell them the Sports Web and Peter Blake sent you. AB will be back. Daniel says, Sue, come home for life. Go Bucs 93. Chris says, still has the court case, needs to stay under Brady's wing for at least another year. Let's see. Troy Polamalu, King Troy, Trojan Legend SC, Miss AB in Pittsburgh, Bud Dupree to the Titans. Again, the breaking news of the night here, in case you didn't hear, Gronk re-signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But this just happened about 10, 15 minutes ago. Jameis Winston with a 1-year contract deal for $12 million with the New Orleans Saints. So there you go. Wouldn't be shocked to see Gerald McCoy on the cheap brought in. Troy, again, I wish Big Ben, a.k.a. Big Sloth, would retire. Top Keck, re-sign Suck Up. I don't want to go back to the bad kicker days. Troy says Leftwich is winning because of Brady. Leftwich is winning because of the Bucs, not just of Brady and the weapons. He's doing a good job of calling plays. He was dropping in coverage. More attention was more on him versus the first year in Tampa. Barrett is good. Agree with that. Very good statement there. Let me go ahead and fire those cannons. Devin says, what grade would you give Antoine Winfield Jr. this last season? I mean, for being a rookie, I think he's definitely top 10 safeties, if not a top 5. And I went on track record to say he should be the defensive rookie of the year with the kind of impact that he made on this Bucs defense, in my opinion. Johnny Dean says Shaq Barrett is crucial. Him, JPP have a system together. Shaq goes high, JPP goes low. Whichever way the quarterback gets flushed, that's who they run into. With Shaq's speed, quarterbacks tend to flush toward the weak side. When Vea is in, it cuts off the weak side lane. Ergo, Shaq gets more sacks. Saying he's not a good pass rusher is ridiculous. And again, Jacob, hold on. We'll get you on here in a moment. James White as well. Let's talk that into existence. Absolutely. Let's go out to Joshua Cole Allen. Winston back to the Aints. Steelers, baby. David says, what I don't like is now we got to hope for Vita not to get hurt so we get the best out of Barrett. To me, that's not worth $18 million a year. I'm glad he's only hitting us for 5 this year coming up. Johnny Dean says, Leon Searcy Jr., great tackle. Absolutely. How does this avoidable years thing work? Is this something new? To tell you the truth, I really don't know. Maybe we can get the latest from Jacob. Maybe he knows, or Joshua Cole Allen. Johnny Dean says, not really new. Saints have used it a long time, but it has future cap implications that could be a bother. Most teams have avoided it until now. Carl Hardy. Carl says, all right, thanks, Johnny Dean. I knew I didn't remember anyone in the Bucs doing a deal like that, but now we are in position to deal like this for the near future. Let's go RIP Kevin Green. Absolutely. One of the greatest defensive players I ever seen in my life, and you heard how much of an impact it made on Leon's life. Donald Penn signs contract to retire a Raider. Yes, a one-day contract. Former Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Winston is going back to the Saints. We covered that. Jameis Winston re-signs with the Saints. Christopher Cole, Johnny Dean, I just got it before you. David says, I'm sorry, but the NFL didn't cause their injuries. They did when they signed a contract knowing what they're getting into. They can't handle what comes after playing in a gladiator sport, then don't sign the contract. I still think the NFL has a problem with their former players. They need to take care of their former players. When you have a guy like a Ryan Leaf, when there's Junior Seau, when there's been players that have passed away very young, there's a problem that the NFL needs to address. And you heard it from a former player himself. I'm not going to say that. David says, well, then somebody needs to teach them not to spend $50,000 on a Rolex or $150,000 on a car. It's not the NFL's fault that they blow their money, whatever happened here in America, to accept the responsibilities of your own action. I've heard that before when Reggie said, I'm bringing Jesus with me. Your ass was in trouble. Johnny Dean says, damn, that would have been awkward. Johnny Dean again. Mic drop. Peter H. Blake, great interview. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I asked the questions that I think you would want me to ask. And if I didn't ask a question, we'll get him on next time. Because you heard him. He's on Jacksonville radio. The guy's in the know. So it's not like he's not going to get on here again. You know me. I'm going to interview guys. I'm going to try to get as many stories as possible from his NFL playing days. That's what this is used for. Not for me to blab my mouth all day long and tell you what I think. It's to have another perspective. And when you can get a 3-time national champion, and again, it pains me to say this, Miami Hurricanes, 3-time national champion, and also a former NFL tackle in the league, and you can't get these stories from anywhere. I mean, that's awesome. So we definitely got to ask those questions. Thank you very much. Whoop, whoop. We got some Canes over here. Yeah, I see ya. There you go. Yeah. The you. Jets are signing defensive end Carl Lawson. So we're going to go out to Jacob Charnow, who's pumping his fist. Looks like he's been in the gym right now. He's so pumped up. They also got Corey Davis. Let's go out to Eric Scott, Leon Searcy Jr., best interview on Bucs Report ever. Thank you very much, Eric. I appreciate you. I knew that I like Daniel Williams for a reason. Go FSU for life, homie. Carl says Saints on their way to the basement. And David says, I'm with Ray. I'm begging for the leg. And I think that would be Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. Haven't heard from him. Let's hear from this guy, Jacob Charnow, Hard Count Football Podcast, which can be heard and seen here on Bucs Report Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock. Your thoughts, my friend, on free agency in full bloom, including the Tampa Bay Buccaneers re-signing a Shaq Barrett, which, Jacob, you were saying after they framed Chris Godwin, they weren't going to sign him, and then you re-sign Rob Gronkowski. Your thoughts, my friend?
I'll admit, I'll be the first to admit here, I was wrong. I was wrong about this Tampa Bay situation. Listen, does the NFL really have a cap space? Is this a real thing here? Because it feels like all the teams that we were talking about having no cap space were the only teams making moves today. I waited until around 6 o'clock, 7 for my Jets to make a move, and they have the second most cap space in the NFL. Nonetheless, I am exhausted from covering free agency all day because, man, it was crazy. The Patriots just threw the bag at every single person that was a free agent today. And, man, the Bucs, they're running it back. They are surely running it back. Getting Shaq Barrett back, 4 years, $72 million for one of the best pass rushers in the entire NFL. I didn't think it was going to be able to get done, but Tom Brady restructuring his contract, taking less money like he has done for the last 2 decades. And if you're looking at Tom Brady right now and wondering, I wonder how he has 7 rings. I wonder why he has 7 rings. Well, look at the amount of money that this guy is making per year. Look at the pay cuts this guy is taking to ensure that he can surround himself with the talent that he deserves and that he needs to win a Super Bowl. And that's the formula, guys. You don't see a lot of these huge paid quarterbacks. You're not going to see, Patrick Mahomes restructured his contract, but guess what? Mahomes, they had to cut a ton. They paid Mahomes, they paid Kelsey, they paid their whole team, Frank Clark, Chris Jones, they paid all these guys. Guess what? They had to cut their 2 starting Pro Bowl left and right tackle. I know they got Joe Thuney today, but they still have holes at tackle. Deshaun Watson, the Texans. If Deshaun Watson stays in the Texans, they're not going to be able to go out and get them in 2 years, these big name guys, because they won't be able to afford them because their quarterback is taking up $49 million of their money. Dak Prescott. Tom Brady's making what? How much is he making per year now, Peter? Because it is not a lot of money for Tom Brady. And I don't think, I think honestly, and I'm blabbering on a little bit here, but man, the amount that Tom Brady means to a team, not only on the field, but off the field, is really incalculable at this point.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you on that. And, $19 million, he saved the Bucs in cap, and that's why they were able to re-sign all their guys and a Shaq and, of course, a Gronkowski. You're exactly right. And I've kind of, said this, that the reason why you have teams that are struggling to find players to put around them and you have quarterbacks that are complaining is because the quarterback is making so much money. I look at Russell Wilson. You're complaining about the team not necessarily having an offensive line around you. And again, the draft, that's where you should do it. But when you don't draft well, that's why you have the tool of free agency to go out there and get players. But if you have so much money invested in one player, and that's why I was telling Bucs fans the other night, relish this fact that you have the greatest of all time taking a pay cut. He's done it throughout his career. And I don't care if his supermodel wife is making all this money. You just don't see it these days. And the reason why Brady continues to be consistent and have an opportunity to win a championship every year is these type of actions.
Yeah, he's one of the most unselfish football players, if not the most unselfish football player that I have ever seen in my entire life. And I think it's probably the easiest. It's the easiest topic where, I mean, he's the GOAT. There's no discussion. He's the most unselfish football player there is. Taking pay cuts. You don't see guys right now in any of the 4 major sports taking any sort of pay cut to ensure that their team gets better besides Tom Brady.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Are you surprised of how much or how little the Bucs paid? $18 million for Shaq Barrett and only 5.6 towards the cap this year. Simply amazing, right?
I mean, I don't know who's doing this Bucs cap space or Bucs cap situation, but it is some wizardry going on in Tampa Bay right now. I thought Shaq Barrett was going to want at least $20 million per year, but I mean, I guess when you have the chance to run it back with the GOAT and a team that's looking this solid that gets all their players back, you sign that deal and take the $3 million less, and you look up at a guy like Tom Brady and saying, all right, well, either I can make $3 million more on a team that's never going to win a championship in my prime while I'm here, or I could take $3 million less and run it back and probably have the best chance in the NFL right now to win the Super Bowl next year. And I know what offer I'm taking. I don't know about you, Peter, but I want another ring if I'm Shaq Barrett.
Yeah, and that's what I say. We got Jacob Charnow on the Hard Count Football Podcast, which can be seen and heard here on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock live here on Bucs Report. Of course, Bucs Report on Facebook and YouTube. So I got to ask you about your New York Jets. What are you thinking so far? You got Carl Lawson from the Cincinnati Bengals. You also got Corey Davis. I mean, pretty good haul so far. And then there's word of C.J. Mosley possibly being on the trade block. What's going on in Jets country?
Man, today was wild for me, Peter. As a Jets fan, I'm looking at 12 p.m. Eastern hits. The Patriots pay everybody. They literally pay every single free agent. They get Matt Judon. They get Kendrick Bourne is a big name that I really liked for the Jets. And I was a little nervous. I saw Jets fans on Twitter already calling for Joe Douglas's head, telling him to wake up. Listen, how many times have you seen a team go out of free agency, spend big on players, not re-signing guys, but go out and spend big on names, and then it works out? The Jets did it in 2018, Le'Veon Bell, C.J. Mosley. C.J. Mosley's played what? Five quarters of football in total for the Jets. They're paying him $17 million a year. Le'Veon Bell paying him, reset the running back market at $12.5 million a year. We saw what happened there. It doesn't really work out. And I know the two guys that I love, Jonnu Smith and Matt Judon, those are the two names that I like that they got. But I think what the Patriots did was they overpaid for mid-tier talent. They paid top-tier money to mid-tier talent. And I don't think it's going to work. But with the Jets, I think they really did play it smart, right? Corey Davis gets signed $12.5 million a year for them, which is less than the Patriots are paying Nelson Aguilar. Go ahead and tell me that Corey Davis should be making less money than Nelson Aguilar after last season. No. And Nelson Aguilar is a name that I really like. And I think Corey Davis is better than him because he is, right? Carl Lawson, man, we missed out on Bud Dupree. I was bummed out about it. We missed out on all these names. We signed Carl Lawson, man. I was jumping up and down. He is, I think he was like the second highest rated edge rusher in the league next year, next to Tampa's own Shaq Barrett. He's a really, really solid football player. And I think that he has a chance to take that next step forward, be even better. He was very average in Cincinnati. Shaq Barrett was very average in Denver. You bring him over here, put him in a good system with a great defensive coach, right? You guys had Todd Bowles. We have Robert Saleh. We have Ulbrich. I forgot his first name, Jeff Ulbrich. They're going to maximize his ability. And he is perfect in a 4-3 scheme that the Jets are going to be running. And I really do think that this team is going to be solid next year. Corey Davis is great. We saw him be good in play. He was really good in play action last year in Tennessee. Very similar offense this year for the Jets with Mike LaFleur running that offense. And then C.J. Mosley, man, I don't want to trade C.J. Mosley, nor do I think there's going to be a team that's going to want to give up a lot for that contract. But I think coming back, he's going to be a very solid player because the quarters that we did see him play, he really stood out. Week 1, 2019 against the Bills, he would have single-handedly won them that game if he hadn't gotten hurt.
Yeah, no, and Sam Darnold, a lot of talk of him being traded. Do you feel like he's going to be under center? Our own Ray Kennedy says he will be under center. In fact, let's go to some of these comments really quick here. What's going on? Everyone says William. Let's go out to Don. No state taxes change a lot. Absolutely. Ray Kennedy, Jets are going to stick with Sam Darnold. Tell him, Harry, Sam Darnold will be under center in Jersey in 2021. And, of course, Leonard Fournette would give Darnold some talent in running back one position. Utilize Mekhi Becton. What are your thoughts on that? Darnold staying? Is he getting traded? In your opinion, if you do trade him, do you draft a quarterback at number 2 in your opinion?
Okay, so one, I think, Sam Darnold. I've Wednesday nights, guys, check out Harry and Ray, the over-under, because I'm on that show a lot, and we have had this conversation multiple. I do not think Sam Darnold's going to be playing quarterback for the Jets next year. I just don't, right? You draft Zach Wilson at 2, you reset the money market for the quarterback position on this team. I think Zach Wilson I know you can look at Sam Darnold and say he's always only 23, but everything I've seen from Sam Darnold, I'm looking at Zach Wilson and saying his upside is much greater than Sam Darnold's. And this team needs a culture change, and that is exactly what Joe Douglas is doing. And I know a lot of people aren't a fan of getting rid of Darnold because they see bright spots, but I really do think Zach Wilson is the perfect quarterback for this offense, and he's going to be able to run the ball. They're going to rely very heavily on the run next year. There's a reason they got Corey Davis. There's a reason why Corey Davis, as reported by multiple Jet sources on Twitter, was the Jets' top wide receiver target in this year's free agent class. And it's because him and Denzel Mims are 2 of the best blocking tight ends in the entire, best blocking receivers in the entire league. And if they're going to try and run this very similar offense to the Shanahan offense and run the ball to the outside a lot, you're going to need some good receivers who can block. And that's exactly what they're getting with Corey Davis. So I back to Sam Darnold. I really don't think Sam Darnold's going to be taken. I think there's enough teams that are interested in him that someone's going to give a good offer, and Joe Douglas is going to say, all right, we're going to get Zach Wilson or Justin Fields or whoever's going to be sitting there at 2 for us, and we're going to reset this thing and start off on a new foot.
All right, going back to the Bucs here, we're on with Jacob Starr now on the Hard Count Football Podcast here live on Bucs Report on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Gronkowski had some comments today for the Kyle Brandt podcast. This was, of course, before the re-signing. I definitely want to be back with the Buccaneers. That's where my eyesight is. That's where I'm leaning toward big time. But with free agency process, you just never know what may happen. There's some other teams interested out there too. I'm also never been a part of free agency process, so I'm actually want to dip my toes in just to see what's out there. I want to be a free agent every year. So if I dip my toes in this year, see what's out there, see how it works. And even if I do go back to the Bucs, I'll know how free agency works and I know how teams come after you. Then I'll have that much more of an advantage every single year. Are you surprised that he did resign? Because a lot of people are kind of worried about with these comments here, but it was all a foregone conclusion that Gronkowski was going to be back with the Bucs and Brady, right?
That quote clearly lasted a while. That aged very poorly with what ended up happening later in the day. No, I'm not really surprised Gronk resigned. I think that the only reason Gronk came back was because of Brady. I think that, you look at that story back from when he first retired where they said, he got traded to the Lions and he said, you know what, I'm not doing this. I'm just going to retire. And that's what happened. Comes back to Tampa with Brady, wins a Super Bowl. I understand every player wants to see what free agency is like. Gronk wouldn't be back in the NFL without Tom Brady. Clearly. So I think it's not a surprise to me that he's staying where he is.
Okay. All right. I definitely think he's more than just, a tight end. I think he's one of the best in-line tight end blockers out there. Yep. And at points in the year, Jacob, you could see him basically being another left tackle or another right tackle. That's how good he was. I mean, you can't put a price on it. And although, according to Greg Auman, this is surprising to me, Bucs are again using the avoidable years on Gronkowski contract. It's a 1-year deal with 4 voidable years. So his cap hit is $4.8 million, $4 million base salary, and $4 million bonus prorated for cap over 5 seasons. And Auman adds that if he comes up to those incentives, he can make as much as $10 million this year. But once again, these voidable years, do you know anything about this? Because I've never heard. This seems like it's in vogue this year, right?
Yeah, from what I've heard, I'll give what I've heard is that, it's like you're basically pushing money. As I think I read, Greg Allman wrote it actually. It's like they're pushing money towards another year, but it's still a dollar for dollar exchange. They're just trying to clear up room this year, but it's going to take away from something in the future. I don't know. It's very confusing, but I think the NFL definitely needs to take a look at this salary cap situation and kind of figure out this loophole that a lot of teams are taking advantage of now.
Yeah, and going back to let's go to our own Evan Winter. He tweeted this out. He says something to note: Shaq Barrett still puts the Bucs roster at 52, which means each draft pick will cancel out a lower contract. Therefore, the Bucs draft class is really projected to cost a little over $2.9 million. This was always going to happen, but now we officially have it. So $2.9 million for the draft class right now. Who would be the next signing for the Bucs? And if it's Sue, where do you draft at 32 in your opinion if you're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Ooh, I'm going linebacker still. I really am. I'm going linebacker for the Bucs at 32. I think you can never have enough linebackers on your team. I'm a strong believer in that. You got Shaq Barrett back. You don't need another edge rusher. Get younger at linebacker. You already have Devin White, Levante David. You can still get younger at that position. Depth is everything for this team. And I have some breaking news, Peter, actually.
What's up?
And this is not related to the Bucs, but the Cincinnati Bengals, after missing out on re-signing Carl Lawson, have officially signed Trey Hendrickson, former Saints defensive end who had I think he led the league in sacks last year. The Bengals get Trey Hendrickson. They kind of helped themselves out on defense a little bit.
Well, that's a one-year guy that really made life hell for Donovan Smith in those two matchups. Playoff game, he wasn't necessarily he was injured, but that's a good thing for Bucs fans because that's another loss for the Saints. Of course, the breaking news before that was New Orleans, and they did a one-year contract with Jameis Winston for $12 million. Your thoughts on that? Do you believe Winston's going to be the starter? Is it going to be Taysom Hill? Or do you believe what has been put out there? It's going to be a quarterback competition in 2021.
So there is no way that Taysom Hill is going to be the starting quarterback there. You look at his contract and you're saying, 4 years, $140 million. Are you kidding me? It's all the voidable stuff. He's essentially getting paid nothing right now. Is what I think is hilarious. When you really look at the details of that, he's really getting paid not a lot of money. They can cut him in 2 years and it'll be the easiest cut they can make on the team. It would be like if I went on the Jets for a day and then they cut me like 5 minutes later. It's essentially nothing's going to happen. But Jameis Winston, I think he's going to be the quarterback there next year. And I think this year behind Drew Brees, it absolutely helped him. I think that if there's going to be a guy who he can learn from, it's Sean Payton. And I'm not here to say that the Saints are going to come back next year without Drew Brees and be in playoff form because they're losing that sense of leadership that you're not going to get back without Drew Brees. But I do think Jameis Winston will absolutely be an upgraded quarterback from where he was in Tampa. I think that his decision-making will be a little bit better. But besides Michael Thomas, who else is he going to have to throw to, right? Because they cut Jared Cook, they cut Emmanuel Sanders. I don't think Traquan Smith is a reliable wide receiver 2 on this team. So if they draft a guy, maybe they'll draft a guy. I really don't think they will this year. I think next year is kind of, because this is a one-year deal. I think next year is kind of going to be where we see the Saints in the quarterback market, kind of like the Panthers this year, right? We see Teddy Bridgewater go there for a year. He plays out the full season. They're in the quarterback market now. I really do think that Jameis Winston will be solid for this season. I really do. Because I was a relatively big fan of him when he was in Tampa. I thought that he needed to same thing with Darnold. I think he needs to go somewhere that'll utilize him and where he can learn behind a veteran quarterback. I think Drew Brees is the perfect guy to learn from. And it's different from learning from a guy like Aaron Rodgers, obviously. I mean, it's Drew Brees, very selfish guy, doesn't see any competition. He knows where he is. And I really do think that Jameis Winston's going to be an upgrade next year, for sure.
Okay. All right. So you think Jameis Winston's going to be the starting quarterback, and there's a lot of people out there that kind of feel the same way. So 1 year, $12 million deal. That's what's going on. Speaking of quarterbacks, how do you see this quarterback derby breaking out here, working out? Excuse me. Is it a Russell Wilson? Is he going to get traded to the Chicago Bears or somebody else? And what about a Deshaun Watson? It certainly seems like lately Texans brass has kind of lightened up on saying, we're not going to trade Deshaun Watson right now as we speak, the quarterback, but that kind of leaves the door open, right?
That's what happens. I mean, you punch at this team enough, and you start budging, right? You can only say you're not going to trade someone for so long when you see what's going on. You can only really deceive the media for so long, right? And say, oh well, he's our quarterback before you end up trading him, and something ends up happening. Because guess what? It's not good for the team to have this going on right now. It would be better for the culture if Deshaun Watson got traded tomorrow. It really would. Because you don't have to worry about your quarterback situation. You get your next guy in there. You start working for next year. You cannot have this drama happening because it's not going to get resolved. And you can't have this happening into next year. I think that Russell Wilson ends up staying. I think he ends up staying on the Seahawks at least for this year. I understand that other places intrigue him, but I really think this is only to give himself some more leverage for the Seahawks to maybe pay some offensive linemen. I think Deshaun Watson ends up going. This quarterback carousel, man, it's going to be crazy. This is going to be one of the craziest off seasons I've ever seen. It's already crazy. I mean, look at some of this movement we've seen around the league.
Yeah, I don't get it. It's supposed to be the legal tampering period, but all these deals are
it's all happening.
Not official until Wednesday when the new year starts. Let's go out to Johnny Dean. Johnny Dean, you're on with yours truly along with Jacob Charnow of the Hard Count Football Podcast. What do you have to say, my friend?
How's it going, guys?
Going good, bud.
Johnny.
Okay, on to this Jameis Winston thing. Jameis Winston signed a bridge quarterback deal.
Okay.
You see that, right? It's a 1-year deal for $12 million. That's a bridge quarterback deal. I 100% guarantee you, well, 98% guarantee you, because I can't guarantee anything in this year.
Fair enough.
I guarantee you that the Saints are going to draft a quarterback. And Jameis Winston's going to be a bridge for that quarterback and then hit the market next year. I think they're doing Jameis a favor by trying to set him out there and say, look, you can show yourself to the league and maybe somebody will give you a good free agency market next year. I think that's what this deal says. And it also speaks to the team saying, look, we're not signing this guy long term. So don't be offended or anything if this ain't your leader, because that team is used to Drew Brees in that locker room. Jameis Winston is not Drew Brees. Those guys are going to look at him as a kid, and he acts like a kid. He always has, right?
Right. Well, I mean, do you see an upgrade there? Is it Taysom Hill's job to lose, or is it a real quarterback competition in your opinion?
I think it really is a quarterback competition because the Saints are built where you can put a Taysom Hill on there,
true,
and have him not lose games.
Right, and you can also put him in situations where you have Jameis as your starter. And you can have these gadget plays where you bring in a Hill. So I think it can work both ways. I'm just not sure what to think of it.
I think Taysom Hill is calmer and has more of an ear with the team itself than Jameis does. I think Jameis is the one that'll be brought in. He might start. He might go in there. But I think Taysom Hill would be their best bet because he's not going to – it's like Teddy Bridgewater didn't lose games.
Right.
You know? Taysom Hill's not going to go out there and lose big games. He's going to rely on the team like they did before to win the games. They're not going to have to win games on his arm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just think the guy that has the better overall talent, arm talent wise, is Winston. But of course, we always talk about decision making. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's the point of winning the games, though, is decision making. Look at what decision making did for the Bucs. Okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Fair enough. I mean, listen. Like, the Saints lost a whole lot more than just Drew Brees, right? They lost Emmanuel Sanders, Jared Cook. They lost Quan Alexander. They lost Malcolm Jenkins. This team is not going to be the same. And I think they realize that.
Jacob, you don't realize what the Saints have done over the years of building that depth. They have been drafting good. They've got depth. They got people on that roster you don't even know their names who can come out there and start. Okay, yeah. Kind of like the Bucs situation now. That's what we're doing. We're building our depth where our second and third stringers are going to be taken in free agency because they're good enough to start.
Yeah,
it's certainly a possibility, but you can't sustain so many losses and expect to compete. I don't know. I mean, losing a Trey Hendrickson, that's going to hurt. That's definitely going to hurt them.
Also, Taysom Hill has 4 career touchdown passes. Like, can we not act like he's some crazy good quarterback? Because he's not. He's a tight end that can throw the ball.
I did not ever say Taysom Hill was a crazy good quarterback. I said Taysom Hill makes crazy good decisions compared to Jameis Winston.
Well, that's true.
I make better decisions than Jameis Winston does.
I definitely agree with that.
Exactly. So. I mean, Jameis has this thing where he thinks he has to put the whole team on his back.
Right.
And that is what kills him.
Well, you wonder if
do it. He's not one of those quarterbacks.
You wonder if Sean Payton got that out of him from last year. You wonder if he can improve on it. I'm not sure.
I'll answer that question with one simple answer. What did he do as soon as he threw that touchdown pass?
What do you mean?
He played like a little kid.
Oh, well, that's what he does.
Right. This feels like that feels like Baker Mayfield, like before he got drafted, when when Colin Cowherd crushed him for not celebrating with his teammates or something. Like, Jameis Winston didn't get in all year. He gets in once, throws a touchdown pass. He's gonna be happy. He's still not. He doesn't have that Drew Brees factor to him where he can just like bump his fist and walk off the field. He's certainly a character, but I don't think it's as big of a problem as I don't think it's really a problem.
I think what Johnny's saying is the maturity level. The maturity level may not necessarily be there. We saw him dance in the locker room. Of course, the NFL didn't like all the dancing. That's always been Winston, but can Winston be good enough not only off the field, but on the field with the decision making? And of course, that's what it comes down to. He's not going to be a Drew Brees. We saw Brees when he retired in that Bucs game, basically saying so many words, "This is your team." That's what it sounded like to me, just kind of lip reading, but it remains to be seen.
When you go out there and you're still eating wins like that,
well, eating W's,
you haven't done anything. You haven't done any.
Don't do it.
All right, look at the quarterbacks who win Super Bowls. Even Patrick Mahomes, isn't that immature. Come on, man.
Yeah, it's always been his personality, man.
I see Justin Herbert acting.
I love Justin Herbert. I am the biggest Justin Herbert fan that you might find right now on this planet. I think he's going to be a stud. If you don't want to consider him a top 10 quarterback right now, you're gonna next year. You are certainly going to next year, because this Chargers team is only going to get better, and it's only going to be on his back. And he has the arm talent of a star. His arm looks like Aaron Rodgers, guys. He maybe even better.
Yeah, we got Johnny Dean. We got to run. We got Harry the Greek, our professional handicapper. Let me let you go, okay?
All right, later, man.
All right, later, man. Let me go ahead and fire the cannons for him. Let me go out to Harry the Greek, my professional handicapper, Mr. 88%, going up to 89, 90%. Welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with Jacob Charnow of the Hard Count Football Podcast. Go for it.
Did someone say Beetlejuice 3 times?
Probably.
All you had to do was say the Greek, and all of a sudden he appears.
There you go, buddy. There you go. So what do you think? What are your thoughts on the Bucs re-signing of a Shaq Barrett and, of course, getting Gronk back in the fold?
Oh, my God. You know what? I posted something on Facebook earlier today that because I wanted to make a little bit of a mockery of it, because, you know, the New York Post or the New York Times, I mean, that was the inception of fake news when they turned around and said, Gronk is looking to test the free agent market.
He's threatening.
He wants to.
Never threatened to leave the Bucs. He said he wanted to test free agency. He didn't threaten to leave the Bucs. It's ridiculous.
It's just a way that they like to portray stuff in the media. And it just drives me nuts. That's why I'm going to tell everybody that's out there that's listening, and anybody that really gives a damn, if you want a straight up source, we're not always 100% correct, but just tune in the Buck Report. You're going to get the best play-by-play that you can possibly have. It's just unbelievable. Can you imagine that the Buccaneers were able to retain not only Chris Godwin and franchise him, and he was happy to sign it, Levante David and Shaq Barrett?
Yes.
Bro, come on.
Yes.
Give me a break. Everybody that I've talked to said there was no way they were going to retain it. I'm going to say it to you, Peter, just like I said it earlier on Ray's show earlier. Jason Light, I have seen extraordinary general managers. What this man has done these past 2 years puts him on a different playing field than any other general manager in the history of the National Football League. I've never seen anything like this, to be able to retain all those players and not lose one of them yet. Not one.
Where do you think the Vegas aspect is on this, with them possibly retaining the majority of their players? Where do you think the odds are going to go and shift to Is it going to be in favor of the Bucs, or are people still going to rule out the Bucs from repeating?
I'm really glad that you asked that. I mean, it's ironic that you're asking Harry the Greek that question.
Right.
My professional
handicapper. Yeah, of course not. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? 3 weeks ago, they were the 4th favorite to win the Super Bowl this year.
Mm-hmm.
And by me checking yesterday, they were still 4th.
Huh.
Take it.
I know, really. Jacob, I would. But, Jacob, that is you on the that I just heard talking, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Like I told you, Jacob, Sam Darnold, baby.
Harry, you're not here on the screen. I feel like God is talking to me right now. It's crazy. Harry, we'll disagree on this until it gets traded, and then we'll have you back on my show to talk about it.
Well, there's been talk of him being traded possibly to the San Francisco 49ers. Of course, you got Jimmy Garoppolo there, so you don't know if that's going to happen or not. We're still awaiting.
They've got news for Sam Darnold going to the 49ers.
Yeah.
They have him going to the Dolphins. They have him going to the Bears. They got Mitchell Trubisky going to Frisco now, not just Washington. New York's showing interest in him. It's such a smokescreen. When the bottom line is this, gentlemen, if they retain Sam Darnold and they build around him and grab a couple players for free agency, this is a 500 ball club, if not a game over this year.
Wow. All right, let me go ahead and fire those cannons for that. Let me ask you, how you feeling about the percentages of Russell Wilson getting traded to the Windy City, the Chicago Bears?
You know what? 3 weeks ago, I really like it. I love what it's doing to the general media. Everybody's on a frenzy with this. The bottom line is the Chicago Bears don't have enough draft capital, even though they have eight picks this year. They're not going to give up a defensive player. They've offered a 1 and they've offered a 2 and 1 starting defensive player. They are not going to give up 2 and 3 first-round draft picks for Russell Wilson. Is he worth it? Yes, he is. Maybe 2 years ago.
Oh, well, I think there's some people will still say at the end of the day that Russell Wilson would be an upgrade and maybe the final component for the Bears to not only be a playoff contender, but as crazy as it sounds, that's right, playoffs. That's right. I said it, Jim. Playoffs. Yes.
Talk about
playoffs, but possibly
playoffs.
Yeah, Super Bowl contender because of Russell Wilson and what he can do. But again, you got to put a team around him, and you got the defense there.
It's very flattering. Chicago's got that defense.
Yeah.
They do have a very good running game when they decide that they actually want to utilize it.
Mm-hmm.
They have some really good wide receivers. Questionable at tight end, even though they have the second-round draft pick who's really starting to come on with Cole Kmet. Yes, would Russell Wilson make them a contender? Absolutely. Absolutely. But you still have to solidify that offensive line, which plagued them last year. They started off really well, and then they got injured. They lost 4 of their 5 offensive linemen. They're not sure who they're going to get at the offensive line. They're looking at Fisher from the Kansas City Chiefs after they released him. But then again, he's not 100%. They said he'd be able to come back. But you know what? Shoulda, woulda, coulda. I'll believe it when I see it on the dot bottom. When I see the signature down on the dotted line. Do I think they're getting Russell Wilson? No. They never even had an offer for Carson Wentz when the media turned around and said that the Chicago Bears were the leading candidate to land him and they had the most on the table, but Wentz didn't want to go there. David Hoff from the Chicago Tribune publicly stated the day before he signed with the Indianapolis Colts that the Chicago Bears never even had a play for him. Not even an offer for Carson Wentz. So believe nothing of what you hear and only half of what you see.
All right, my friend. What about Deshaun Watson? What are you hearing about that deal? Anything?
I hear he's not moving out of his camp. They're going to be very steadfast, and there's a very strong possibility that he doesn't even play next year.
Wow. I just can't. I can't see a quarterback holding out for the whole year. Either he gets traded. I just don't see it. I just do not see it.
They're a dumpster fire over there. What do they got to lose?
Who are they going to play? A.J. McCarron? Trade the man. Get a new quarterback in there already. Oh, my God. The Jets and the Dolphins would both be interested in Deshaun Watson. I'm convinced they would. That means you get either the 2 pick or the 3 pick. You get to bring in a quarterback. And guess what? He can fill, not to the extent that Deshaun Watson can, but he can certainly fill that role on this team that is just going downhill day by day. It's crazy. Trade the man. What are you holding out for here?
I absolutely love the piss and vinegar that you put forward, young Skywalker. You are awesome. You're absolutely correct. They should trade him. But we're talking about the Houston Texans. We're talking about an organization that is in complete disarray. They're completely on fire. They let J.J. Watt go, who signed for an ungodly amount of money in the end of his career, just to be human about it when they could have turned around and traded him to a team and got a first-round draft pick for him, if not a second-round draft pick.
Right. And I think the funniest argument about this right now is when I hear people say, oh, well, if Deshaun didn't want to be there, why'd he sign the contract? Guess what? I bet you in the contract that Deshaun signed, it wasn't like, hey, as soon as you sign this, we're going to trade away the entire team. Like that was never disclosed to him.
But to be fair here, he knew that they got rid of DeAndre Hopkins and he still signed the contract. But I get it. He went to management. He was looking for this and looking for that. And they did the complete opposite. So I understand the frustration there. I just wanted to sign it. If you're going to have anything, have them franchise you, have them trade you. You can force your way out if you're going to force your way out of this, but it's going to be definitely something interesting to see in the next couple of weeks here, or possibly a couple months, depending on what the Texans decide to do if they continue to drag their feet on this deal. What else, Harry the Greek?
There's also been speculations that the Chicago Bears were going to be involved in a 3-team deal. Now,
when was the last time a 3-team deal happened in the NFL, Harry?
Right, I know, man, but the Jets were involved in this too. This is what's so funny.
Oh, I saw this. This doesn't make any sense.
Supposedly, my friend gets this one, and your friend gets that one, and you have to give up this pick for that. But anyway, in Greek terms, ultimately, Russell Wilson goes to Chicago. Sam Darnold goes to Seattle, and there's a whole bunch of draft picks being switched between a whole bunch of teams. And by the way, your Jets end up getting Khalil Mack.
Okay, I don't like that. Sounds like Nick Wright's big 4-team deal that he made. Where like
that's what it sounds like to me. That's what it is to me. That is wrong. That's what it sounds like. So,
has anybody seen the movie Spaceballs?
Yes,
I have. Yes,
your mother's brother's sister's uncle's father's sister's uncle's grandfather's nephew's girlfriend is going to be the prize winner. I mean, that's what it sounds like. It's ridiculous.
That's right. Okay?
That's what I'm saying.
At the end
Nothing
of the movie.
of what you hear, half of what you see.
If
the Bears end up with Russell Wilson, it would be great. Do I think it's going to happen? No, I don't think it's happening. Do I think that Sam Darnold's leaving? No.
Yes, he is.
If Chicago loses Mitch Trubisky, even if Russell Wilson doesn't come to town, because the name I honestly heard 3 months ago during the season was that they were interested in Andy Dalton. Believe it or not. And I think that's going to grab some traction. This is the funny part. But if Mitch Trubisky does leave, I assure you, bet the over on it, Trubisky will be the starting quarterback of the Washington football team.
So Ryan Pace right now is looking at the Chicago Bears situation and saying, all right, well, Allen Robinson isn't too happy right now. He hasn't signed the tag yet. He doesn't plan to. I'm sure he probably wants a good quarterback. Why don't we go out and get Andy Dalton for him? Because he's going to be thrilled with that one. There's no
scheme, but then again, I put Matt Nagy in the same category as Adam Gase. Okay,
I don't put anybody in the same category as Adam Gase, Harry. I mean, that's just me personally, because I have a personal agenda against him.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. It's so good to hear, Peter. As usual, you put on a great show.
Thank you.
You really do. I can't wait to see you guys on Wednesday night. It's going to be an absolute blast, and I'll tell you what, these next 48 hours are going to be something for the record books. But you know what? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they've done the best job of any team in football right now. They've re-signed almost everybody.
Who's the next re-signing, in your opinion? Is it Ndamukong Suh? I know how you feel about him. Or is it Antonio Brown?
No.
Or Suck Up?
You got it. I'm begging for the leg. Is that what Ray Kennedy says? I'm begging for the leg.
Yeah, that's what Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy also thinks that you should give double digits to a kicker. Tampa Bay, it's not going to happen, my friend. Not going to happen.
You can't. They've only got $9 million in cap space left. And they just had to sign it. But
you're going to spend the rest on the kicker? I mean, come on. Tampa fans, I understand what you've had to deal with.
Hold on, guys. He did score 1/3 of the points for this team. Okay, he's an integral I'm sorry. I'm trying to speak Leo words here. He's very important. Okay, damn it.
He's an integral part of the team. I agree with you. 90%
part of the team.
Yes.
You guys are trying to make my vocabulary better since I've been
trying to be
that's what we do here at Bucs Report.
Wordsmith, my friend. Wordsmith. All right, good stuff there. Harry the Greek, my professional handicapper, Mr. 88%, 89%, going up to 90% as we speak. We'll see you on Wednesday night. All right, boss?
You got it, my brother. You guys have a really good night. Can't wait to see you guys go Bucs, and let's have a really good time this year.
Absolutely.
Harry.
Gonna be a good time this year. Let's go out to the comments, and then we'll talk more here. Pat's got both of the Ravens defensive ends, the signing of Johnny Smith and Angelor, and defensive upgrade if they make moves to get Trey Lance. I could see them being very competitive again. Sorry, Jacob. That division may just end up as it has been, except the Bills may have a thing to say about it this time, but Jets are still sitting behind Miami, Buffalo, depending on the quarterback with the Pats. Agree? I know you're not necessarily...
I can't agree with that. I can't agree with that because guess what? It feels like the Bears. They can do whatever in Washington. They can get all these great positions and everywhere on defense and offense and whatever. They don't have a good quarterback, guys. Like you can't have Cam Newton throwing 10 touchdowns in a season and expect to be good like that and win a division.
10 touchdowns in the season. I think he had 5 touchdowns and 12 of them. I don't get it. I don't understand bringing back a Cam Newton. I don't understand it. I think the guy
$14 million.
I don't get it. Is Gronk worth $10 million? William, absolutely, he's worth $10 million. But again, it goes back to what Greg Allman was saying from The Athletic about this contract. He says Bucs again using voidable years on the Gronkowski contract. It's a 1-year deal with 4 voidable years, so his cap hit is $4.8 million. $4 million base salary, $4 million bonus pro-rated for cap over the 5 seasons. Absolutely worth that money, not only as a pass-catching threat, but also as an inline blocker, which he was amazing at last year. So, yes, he is. Johnny Dean says yes. Robert says yes. Ray Kennedy, could the Jets have some money to go after a certain Harvard-trained, sure-handed catching tight end and a Cameron Brate? You want to see that happen there, Jacob?
Yeah. Oh my God. I love Cam Brate. I think Cam Brate is. I've texted Rick Hughes about this a few times, and I've talked about it with him. I have Cam Brate is one of my favorite Bucs. I don't know why. It's because I think during the season I would always bet on him to score a touchdown, and he never would. But I grew this emotional attachment towards him as as some degenerate gambler, and I don't want to see them. I really don't want to see the Bucs let him go. But a tight end in the first round. I mean. It depends. It really depends. I don't know. I can't make these predictions because, I love my mock drafts more than, just as much as the next person does. But to sit here and say that, this guy's definitely going to be there at 32, or this guy's going to, it's impossible. It is impossible, right? And you're going to let Cam Brate walk, who knows the system, to bring in Pat Fret, whatever that guy is from Penn State. I really don't like them.
I don't think the Bucs are going to draft a tight end in the first round. You got OJ Howard coming back. You got Gronkowski. They got Tanner Hudson. But every year it's talked about Cameron Brate being traded or released, and what we come to find out is the reason why you can't trade. Right, is because of OJ Howard and him not being able to stay healthy. Both of those guys are go-to guys for Tom Brady. So I'm not sure until they release them. I can't see it. Go to TB12 home, 87-813 for life. Troy says the Jets missed out on Trevor Lawrence. William says hopefully that's the case, but I think suck up is a must. Troy again, thank you, Peter. The most anticipated show in Tampa Bay. Thank you very much, sir. Go ahead and give me that. Appreciate you. Johnny Dean says edge, defensive tackle, linebacker, late round quarterback maybe should be the Bucs draft. Oh wait, add a center to that. Johnny Dean says Jameis is being paid like a bridge quarterback. The Saints are going to draft a quarterback. William says this is going to be a weird draft. We can't draft anyone we like based on talent. We are not in dire need at any position, really, unless we don't sign Suckup. That's the first in Bucs history. Should be a fun draft. Let's go out to Joshua Cole Allen. Joshua Allen, one of our great writers here on Bucs Report. You're on with yours truly, along with Jacob Charnow of the Hard Count Football Podcast. What do you have to say, my friend?
We ain't going nowhere.
We ain't going nowhere. We can't be stopped now. It's Bucs
no way
for
could
life. Good job, man. Good job. Yeah, I know that. I know that song. I know what you were saying. All right.
Of course, you're a hip hop. You're a hip hop DJ before all this. So
Absolutely, absolutely.
I know
So
about you a little bit.
a little bit, yeah. We them Bucs, right? Joshua Cole Allen, one of the writers on the on
Man,
that.
I'm still not over that. That's one of the best things I've ever seen. Easily one of the best things I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, he came up with those lyrics. Good stuff there. So
I
Jason.
freestyled him on the show.
Oh, you did.
This
You did. We got to
summertime.
get that. We got to get that recording and put it on
No.
Facebook. Yeah, we got to do that.
We can leave it in the past.
So JCA, what do you think of the moves that the Bucs have made today? Shaq Barrett coming back, of course, and then Rob Gronkowski later on. Your thoughts?
Let's just first of all thank the NFL for avoidable years.
Yes.
Very very happy about these new things that I've learned about avoidable years. But yeah, I mean it's a good step in the right direction. Levante's back, Brady's restructured. You got Shaq now in the fold. You got Gronk in the fold. There's a couple guys left to go out and grab and bring back, and maybe a couple small splashes in free agency. But they have until Wednesday to rework some contracts, so we'll see what happens there. But so far, so good. I'm liking what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, a 3.5 for Levante David this year, only 5.6 for Shaq Barrett. We find out with the Gronk contract, it's only 4.8. I mean, what they're doing over there, Mike Greenberg, Jason Light, Christopher Cole said some of the women in that organization also.
Jacqueline Davidson, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just doing some good work over there. The next signing, in your opinion, is it under Dominican Sue? Is it an AB or is it a Ryan Suckup?
I think you have to look at Ndamukong Suh now.
Okay.
Keeping that defense together is paramount. Well, obviously the struggles the Bucs have had in their kicking game is very well known. Getting a guy like Sue back to really ensure that you're bringing that top ranked number one against the run defense and ascending defensive play. Especially you saw his ability when he had his running mate there with Vita Vea back. He's got to be priority number one.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, you're looking at Suckup and AB. I love AB, but I think he's more of a luxury for this team. The things he can add and the things he can do matchup-wise and for opposing defenses can't be undersold. But as far as getting this team complete, they need to bring back Ndamukong Suh.
You're close to this team. What's your sense? Do you think that a Brown would be brought back as a luxury because of Tom Brady and that relationship? Or in your opinion, could they go with a Tyler Johnson because he's ready to pop?
I think AB is still the preferred player to bring back.
Okay.
Just because from both a player and a team standpoint, you saw the impact that he was able to have, especially in the playoffs down the stretch. Remember, he only played 8 games with this team after serving that suspension. And in AB's case, why it would be good for the player is he fell in line, was a good soldier, and stayed out of the news and everything like that while he was here. I still think he has a little bit of ways to go to prove himself to organizations before he can kind of cash in.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked about this with several people. He's in the Larry Fitzgerald mold where he's going to age really well as a player. He's 30. He's going to be 33 if he's not already 33. But he's the type of guy with his smarts, his route running ability, his hands, that he may lose a step, but he'll make that up with instincts, being able to find the open spot. So I think if he comes back this year, you're looking at probably like, I have him pegged around a $3.5 million cap hit, probably with about $1.5 to $2 million in escalators incentives that he can get up to that $5.5, $6 million range. But next year, if he hits the open market, you can see him getting a long-term deal, in my opinion, for around that $5, $6, $7 million range on a 2 to 3 year deal, and really kind of cash in once he reinstates his value.
Do you think there could be a market for him out there? I mean, there was talk about Seattle possibly signing him, but there's been so much uncertainty surrounding that team with the Russell Wilson, possibly the Baltimore Ravens. Do you see a market out there for him, or is it just the Bucs at this juncture?
That's really the only two teams I would see that would be interested in him. More so Seattle than the Ravens, where they have a strong veteran presence. He was working out with Russell Wilson all throughout the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Russell Wilson was lobbying for him to come out there. He obviously chose Tampa Bay and Brady and the Bucs over the Seahawks. So I think the Seahawks would be a fine landing spot for him. But at the same point, they have a lot of things that they need to do as far as shoring up that defense, that offensive line. KJ Wright's still out there. They're going to re-sign Shaquille Griffin is still a guy they need to resign. They need to do some work on that offensive line, as you heard Russell Wilson complain about.
Disaster.
I think they need to spend some money there. And where they don't have a quarterback who is, all in it for the team, he's making $40 million this year. I'm not sure if that's his cap hit, but still, it's a big chunk of change that they're not going to be able to work around. Whereas you're looking at Tom Brady and what he's been able to do to be able to bring these guys back. I think Antonio. I don't want to use the word runs it back because that's not what we're using here in Tampa Bay.
Right.
But he comes on back for one more year, and then when his value kind of increases next year.
Who do you think most likely is going to be out of here? Is it Leonard Fournette? Possibly a Nacho. I know he's a free agent. Both of them, you think they're going to lose?
Yeah, I think Leonard Fournette. The smartest thing for Leonard Fournette is to leave. To be honest with you. While he had a great run here in the playoffs, his usage in the regular season, we also saw the report that he was in jeopardy of getting cut early in December, not falling in line with his role. And if Rojo doesn't get injured and then get COVID, I think that, you see a lot less of Leonard Fournette. He was kind of thrust in there because he needed to be in there, and he made the most out of it. Going from playoff Lenny to Super Bowl Lenny to Lombardi Lenny. I think his value is at the highest right now, especially with a guy like Aaron Jones being re-signed in Green Bay. I can see him getting somewhere between a 3-year, $15 million deal up to a 3-year, $21 million deal. Someone's going to pay him between $5, $6, and $7 million a year, especially after what Aaron Jones just got to be their running back. You got to remember he's still young. He's only going into his 5th year in the league. I'm looking at the Miami Dolphins as a potential landing spot. The Pittsburgh Steelers as a potential landing spot. He can go in there and catch the ball out of the backfield, be their workhorse, split time with Myles Gaskin in Miami or Benny Snell in Pittsburgh, have them come off, as backup running backs. But those are the two most likely landing spots I see him going to that have a clear need for a running back of his ilk. And can pay him, around the salary that he's looking for.
And we're on with one of our great writers here, Joshua Cole Allen, a Bucs Report on the evolution of sports talk television, brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts for all your auto parts needs. It's Advanced Auto Parts. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Jacob Charnow of the Hard Count Football Podcast. Go ahead, Jacob, if you have a question for JCA.
Yeah, no, I just think it's hilarious how, when we're talking about these NFL players and we're like, all right, well, he's only getting paid, $3.5 to $4 million, and that's $3.5 to $4 million, right? Those are millions of dollars. And I've been thinking about this a lot. So off topic, guys, but just how athletes are the highest paid people in the world. And it's purely for entertainment. And I think it's hilarious. And I think it's amazing that is how much sports has an impact on our culture, that these guys are getting paid that much money. Right. And with Leonard Fournette, I am almost confident he's going to leave Tampa. I think there's a lot of teams that need him. I think that he could still be very useful to a team. And just because he forced his way out of Jacksonville and all that, and just because he was a part of a committee in Tampa or whatever you want to call it, I think he still has a lot left in the tank, and that he's going to be a big help to wherever he goes, as long as he has that solid offensive line.
Yeah, I definitely, I think that's certainly a possibility. And for him to maybe get overpaid, maybe overpay a running back from a bad team. And if they promise him that, basically he's going to get this amount, he's going to be the bell cow runner, no matter if it's a good team or not, he may have the personality to say, you know what, I can improve this team and also get paid more money than the Bucs or any other team was going to pay me. JCA, wait a minute. Let me get Jacob Charnow out of here. Go ahead and promote yourself, my friend.
Yeah, listen, Leonard Fournette, you want to get overpaid, come to the Jets. We are used to way overpaying for running backs. But anyway, check out the Hard Count Football Podcast on YouTube and SoundCloud, and then the Hard Count Football Podcast live Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, every week on the Hard Count Football YouTube channel, and right here on Bucs Report. Follow me on Twitter at Jacob Charnow, Instagram at Hard Count Football. Shoot me a DM, give me a mention, tell me I'm wrong about something I said, because boy, I love arguing with you guys, because you guys, some of you are a lot of fun to argue with. Peter, I'm sure you can agree with that.
Absolutely. That's the perks of the job here. Jacob Charnow, thanks a lot. You're learning.
Before you leave, Jacob,
yes.
For him, Peter.
Yeah, go ahead.
Before you leave, obviously it's no secret that the Jets need help on the offense. You guys just signed Corey Davis. I think you got Carl Lawson as well. But would you be interested in a trade for Cam Brate? I mean, there's a lot of speculation that it might get cut. But do you think the Jets would be interested in trading for him? Let's call it a 5th-round pick to pick up Cam Brate, who's a clear option upgrade over Chris Herndon, who cannot stay healthy.
I think that the Jets' first option is going to be Hunter Henry if he doesn't resign with the Chargers, and then I think Cam Brate, for maybe a late-round pick, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I would be surprised if the Bucs actually moved off Cam Brate, but I love Cam Brate. I mentioned it before. I think he's a great option. He can block, he can catch. I think he's just underutilized in this offense that has so many mouths to feed and so many great weapons. But I do think he can be really good somewhere else.
All right, good stuff there, Jacob Charnow. Thanks a lot for your time here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, the sports website.
Appreciate it, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, there you go. So let's get him out of here. Let's go on to JCA, one of our best writers on Bucs Report, one of the most hard-working guys I know in the business. Absolutely. How surprised are you with the New England Patriots? I mean, this is the first time I've seen them spend so much money. Did it come back to Brady winning a Super Bowl and basically Bill Belichick and that organization saying, guess what? We could do the same thing. We can get weapons around Cam Newton or whoever quarterback we may draft, because Johnny Dean thinks they're going to draft a quarterback. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's more of the whole Tom Brady thing. I think it's more of, look, we've been talking about Bill Belichick, the coach, is the greatest coach of all time. The one thing that we've agreed upon is that his GM skills have slightly taken decline over the years. Being able to evaluate talent, especially within the draft and building up those young players, hasn't been a strong suit. And you're seeing that this year. They didn't have many guys that they've drafted that they wanted to pay or willing to pay big money. And you've seen them come and go throughout the years. This year, and a product of that is why they've had so much cap space to spend. Mm-hmm. And Belichick going 7-9 last year, albeit losing a boatload of starters to opt-outs and having this whole COVID season with no off season, everything like that. I think he saw a window to go out there and utilize the cap space in ways he's never done before to put solid pieces around this team. You saw them not just attack the offense with the weapons, with a Kevin Bourne and a Nelson Aguilar and a Jonnu Smith, but also the defense, bringing in the big nose tackle and Matt Judon and Jalen Mills, who's a hybrid corner safety. So I think that it's very uncharacteristic for Bill Belichick to do that. But in the same light, he's never really had the money. You saw kind of 2007 where they kind of went and did that when they had a little bit of cap space when some of those veterans retired and rode off into the sunset. We're bringing in Darius Thomas and the Randy Moss trade and the Wes Welker trade.
Sure.
All these different moves they've made. And this is the real first time they've had the ability to go out there and do that with the cap space that they've possessed. And hey, they made a big splash, and we'll see if it translates. I mean, names are names until you get them in the system and see how they mesh. But with that division, I think it's not out of the realm of possibility if they do draft a quarterback, or if Cam, with a full season under his belt and unknowing the offense more and having reliable weapons around him, they can make a run at that AFC East title they're so accustomed to winning. Everyone wants to crown the Bills right away, and I do think the Bills are the cream of the crop in that division, but I wouldn't be surprised to see the Patriots make a real run. They finished 7-9 last year. Mm-hmm. You still owe me wings, by the way. And
I do owe you some wings. I thought they would have less wins, honestly. With Cam Newton, it was 12 rushing touchdowns?
Yeah.
And 5 passing?
Yeah. I mean,
were you surprised that they re-signed a Newton? I thought they were going a different direction. They were talking about Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, is Cam Newton the starting quarterback, or are they going to bring in competition for him still?
I definitely think they bring in competition. It all depends on what happens leading up to the draft and cuts to still be made, because right now you can agree to terms on contracts all you want until you're putting pen and paper on Wednesday, which no team is allowed to do. They still have room for maneuverability, and that's why you'll see, I'm sure that news will come out soon about the Buccaneers restructuring contracts and extending guys like a Jensen or a Smith and doing all sorts of different things to open up that more space to allow them to not only sign back a Ndamukong Suh and a Ryan Suckup, but also some of the smaller guys. I mean, it's still going to cost you about $1 to 1.5 to bring back Blaine Gabbert, $1 million to bring back Andrew Adams, another $1 million to bring back Russ Cockrell. I mean, these moves all add up as well.
Sure.
So you'll see some moves coming soon for the Buccaneers to make. But as for the Patriots, in the quarterback position, was I surprised? Yes and no. Listen, Belichick didn't want to go into free agency with teams being like, all right, who's your quarterback? So if you have a quarterback in place, now you can pitch them. Well, we got Cam in place. You kind of seen some of his stats weren't that bad, even though we only have 5 touchdowns. You can say we got Cam in place. We also have ideas to make other moves depending on what happens. They can either move up in the draft if one of these guys start to fall, and a Trey Lance or Justin Fields, and go grab him. They could wait until after the draft to see what happens with the whole Jimmy Garoppolo and Marcus Mariota situations. Maybe they're both cut instead of being able to say the Niners end up getting a Trey Lance or something like that, and they end up moving on from Jimmy Garoppolo, which would open up about $23 million. Maybe they go after Jimmy Garoppolo as a free agent, or maybe they go after someone like an Andy Dalton or something
God.
like that, and have
why would you waste time with going after Andy Dalton? I'd rather have a Ryan Fitzpatrick at this point. Dalton stinks. He stinks. He's a terrible quarterback, man. He's so overrated, it's ridiculous. And the Cowboys found that out. Honestly, I'm not an Andy Dalton fan. I'm just not. I've never been.
I agree with you for sure. But
right.
You never know what Bill's going to do, what Bill sees, and what he thinks will be a fit in the offense. So
sure,
I definitely think that there's moves for them to make. I'm just not sure what they are right now, and to be able to at least go into free agency with a potential starting quarterback, I think was a big deal for them. He's only making $5 million this year. You cut him; it's only costing you 1.2.
Right.
He's got incentives to go up to $14 million. So kind of that Jameis Winston-esque deal that he just got.
Speaking of Winston, we got breaking news when I was on with Leon Searcy Jr., former offensive tackle for the Steelers and Jaguars, that he signed a 1-year deal worth $12 million. How surprised are you by that?
Well, I was surprised when it was first announced, but after seeing what it really is, it's about a $5 million deal guaranteed.
Okay.
And with incentives that can get up to $12 million for some playing time and no lack of interceptions. I'm just kidding. That's not in there. But from all reports that I've read, it's going to be Taysom Hill's job to lose. They're going to start training camp in the offseason program as Taysom Hill as a starter. And if he does not live up to expectations and can't handle the hype and the pressure, then they'll probably move on to Jameis Winston. I'm hoping it's sooner rather than later, because the Jameis Winston versus the Bucs Week 1 matchup would be super juicy for ratings and for everything. But I think Jameis will end up the quarterback at some point during that season, and you'll see Taysom Hill go back into that more of a wildcat, gadget trick player type of utilized player for the Saints team. But
I know you have. I know you have some sources around. Have you heard anything about the status of Deshaun Watson to the Carolina Panthers? Because once again, I think that's the most likely scenario, if not the Miami Dolphins. What do you say?
Right now, the Texans are really hard, fast, or not. They're trying to put together an enticing team to keep them. I think trading them is the last resort. They're trying to say, the coach, David Culley, had a nice meeting with them. And, they're trying to say, hey, we're all in to try to build a team around you. What can we do? And maybe involving him in some of the discussions, and, what's it going to take for you to stay here? And if not, then yeah, I mean, that's the last resort is to trade him. He's a top 7 player in the league at the quarterback position. And those guys don't come around often. He's still very young on a very manageable contract compared to what some of these guys just signed for. His cap hit isn't that huge this year. If I'm the Dolphins, I think it's a mistake to write off Tua so quickly. And I know I just said Deshaun Watson's the top 7 quarterback, but it's going to cost you Tua, probably both of your first-round picks this year, and maybe another first-round pick next year. And I think as the Dolphins, we were right on the cusp there with Ryan Fitzpatrick and Tua. And to give up cost-controlled talent, especially as high as a pick as number 3, where you can either grab the best player available there at wide receiver or tackle, or potentially trade off of that pick and gain more future assets to continue building cost-controlled talent around that team and around Tua. I don't think it's necessarily the greatest idea. I get the allure because you're getting a quarterback and that automatically makes you a contender, but let's not forget we were talking about tank for Tua like he was tank for Trevor just 2 years ago. So the guy is still an NFL talent. Lack of offseason, lack of time for preparation, lack of weapons. He had a bunch of guys get hurt on and off. He was getting pulled for Ryan Fitzpatrick. Chan Gailey was not the best offensive coordinator for what his skill set is. I wouldn't be so quick to move off Tua. As far as the Panthers, that's an intriguing situation. What are they going to have to give up? Are they giving up CMC? They just signed David Johnson, and I believe they signed somebody else to back him up, who's a pretty good running back as well.
Wow. David Johnson, huh?
Can't forget, I can't remember his name, but you just rework David Johnson's contract to stay there. And obviously, push comes to shove. If you're getting CMC, you make that move. But then Brian Burns has been thrown around there. What kind of package are they going to have to give up? We know it's going to cost at least the number eight pick overall. Is it 2 first-round picks beyond that? The Panthers team, to me, doesn't seem, especially if you're giving up CMC or Brian Burns, doesn't seem like a team that's ready to make that push. My dark horse, and Johnny Dean will agree with me too, I think for the most part, is Denver. I think Denver might be a team that gets in the conversation. Maybe offer a package of Jerry Jeudy, Drew Lock, and a couple first-round picks. They have a defense. Even if you trade Jerry Jeudy, you still have guys like KJ Hamler, Tim Patrick if they resign him, Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant, Philip Lindsay, Melvin Gordon. You have a pretty good offensive line there, a pretty good defense there. I think that might be the best fit for him. He's not one to shy away from competition going against Patrick Mahomes, Derek Carr, and Justin Herbert in that division. I think would make it a really compelling division with 2 really great quarterbacks and 2 up-and-coming quarterback. Well, 1 up-and-coming quarterback, and Derek Carr is what he is. But I think Denver makes, for me, the most logical sense of a team that's ready to compete, that isn't giving up enormous assets to get him. Obviously, the first-round picks would be, and can field a potential playoff team around him. So that's my thoughts on it. I would rather, if I'm Deshaun, I'd rather go to Houston than either of those. I see the allure of both of them, but I think Houston gives you the best opportunity to win immediately.
What do you mean? You mean Houston gives you the best chance to win? You mean Denver?
Denver.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. All right. Final question here, and I'll get you out of here because it's getting late, and I definitely know you got work and you got your kids and everything else. 32 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What do you see with bringing back everybody at this point? Is it a need position anymore, or is it best player available? And could they draft a running back? Everybody's talking about Travis Etienne from Clemson, and Najee Harris out of Alabama. Where do you go if you're the Bucs? Where do you think they go?
So I think both of those players would most likely be off the board. My favorite running back in this draft, anyways, is Javonte Williams out of North Carolina. I'm in love with this player. We're just watching him. He's one of the most complete backs, best pass protector in the draft as far as running backs, as of those top 3. Can catch out of the backfield, can break tackles, inside outside runner. And you saw the progression that he made coming through the ranks and going through his years at college. For me, if I'm the Buccaneers, it's BPA or I trade back. And that's the scenario that I keep coming to, is trading back and just getting out of the first round altogether, gaining more assets, whether it's moving back in the second round, gaining a second round next year, or moving back in the second and third, maybe grabbing a future third, whatever it takes. I think you move back and you can still target one of these top defensive ends or pass rushers, because I think there's like 1 or 2 pass rushers that are like, okay. The rest of them, there's so many, and this is a problem I'm having with doing my mock drafts, which I'll have one out again soon, is the rankings of these players are all over the place. You go to PFF, it's one thing. You go to the Draft Network, it's another one. You go to Draft Bible, it's another thing. Daniel Jeremiah, Mel Kiper, Todd McShay, all these guys, their rankings on players are all over the place. So there's no general consensus. You couple that with no combine, so you're getting all these pro day workouts, and a lot of people say, "Oh, pro day workouts are a lot different than the combine," and everything like that. So, plus opt-outs. You had teams opt out, teams and players opt out last year. You had shortened seasons in the case of Ohio and Michigan, where they only played 6 games. So it's become a lot more difficult to read and gauge where guys are going. But I just keep coming back to trading out of the first round, going back into the second round, and being able to grab a defensive tackle, edge rusher, or maybe Javonte Williams early enough if you trade back there, and addressing your needs as you go with extra picks or or potential future picks. It's a crapshoot more than ever this year, Peter, and it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. We had a great first day of free agency. Looking for more news to be broken over the next couple of days and couple of weeks, because we'll see that trickle in effect of these secondary and backup depth players start to sign as well. But then that's going to lead us right into a draft, which is going to be just as fun. Best time of the year other than real life football, and obviously when the team's in the Super Bowl. But I always get up for free agency in the draft.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. It's what I look forward to, and it's kind of different this year. A lot of Bucs fans are agreeing with that because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are, of course, world champions, Super Bowl champions.
Ooh.
JCA, go ahead and promote yourself here, please.
Yes, so follow me on Twitter, please. It's at Joshua_C_Allen. Constantly tweeting out articles, tweeting out little tidbits, facts. Anything with the Buccaneers tweet out, you'll get it on my page first. Oh, Ryan Fitzpatrick just landed with the Washington football team.
Wow, there you go. Ryan Fitzpatrick could be the new starting quarterback of the Washington football team. A lot of people were talking about earlier on in the day it was going to be Mitchell Trubisky, but that's not necessarily what it is now. It's Ryan Fitzpatrick. So there you go. Breaking news right there. Good stuff.
And other than that, the Audible's coming back. I know I've been saying it, but I've got my graphics guy working on a new opening. Had to get rid of those old uniforms because it started before the season. So I'll have a new intro and a new outro coming up soon, working on a very prominent guest for the Buccaneers. Hopefully I can land them. Pretty sure it's going to happen. I think you guys will really like him. Hopefully I can get over 1K views on this,
I think you will. I definitely think you will, my friend.
There's a little teaser with a 1K.
1K. Oh, okay. All right. I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So it's almost locked in. And that's going to be my opening show. Hopefully looking to start re-up next Thursday. So make sure you guys are tuning for that. And otherwise, just keep it here in Bucs Report for great shows, great content like the Sports Web, Jacob Charnow, Harry the Greek, obviously Rick, Couple Ray, and a lot more in the works. Great writing staff with me, Evan, Philip Schrager, Jerry Morrow, Old Salty Buck.
Yep.
Big things are coming to Bucs Report. So guys, stay tuned. And as always, Peter, thanks for having me on.
Yep. There you go. JCA, Joshua Cole Allen, one of the hardest working writers I know here, a part of the Bucs Report family. Thanks a lot for your time, boss. All right.
Absolutely. Fire them cannon.
Absolutely. We shall right there. There we go. And let me go ahead and give you a Ric Flair blow too. There we go. All right, my friend. Thanks a lot for the time. Let's go out to the webheads. And then if we got no more calls for the night, we're going to wrap it up here because it has been a long day. I did a show earlier on. Of course, when you say that, guess who calls? Here we go. My co-host from a radio station from a galaxy far, far away, Sean the Sports Tom. Welcome to the Evolution as your Tampa Bay Buccaneers re-sign a Shaq Barrett earlier on in the day, and then later on they re-sign Gronkowski. Your thoughts?
Man, that's a great day in Tampa Bay. Obviously I called here last week, man, to just tell everybody to calm down and understand that your general manager and your coach was telling everybody on that boat parade, your ass ain't going nowhere. And
your ass ain't going nowhere. I gotta get that soundbite from BA because everybody he said in that boat parade that wasn't going anywhere, they haven't gone anywhere. He's 3 for 3.
Well, he's 3 for 3 right now. He got one more because I think he said that for Sue. He told Sue that when he was up there with JPP. So you got to get him back. And once you do that, you have your 4 guys your 4 top guys that he explicitly said that to. And I don't think Sue is an issue to get Sue back. It's just a matter, again, how much money he's going to get. And like I was saying last week, as long as you don't disrespect these guys, like they will come back. And the Bucs, they knew how they were going to do this. I mean, this year, this is the first year they did the whole wardable years or pushing back the game. Normally they do guarantees. Now you see them pushing some of the money back, something they don't normally do. We see the Saints have been doing this for years and years. That's why their day is coming to fruition now, where they're having to cut so many players and not re-sign some of their good players who are actually free agents this year. And so they're having to play that salary cap game with dead cap space. They have to play that now. The Bucs don't have to worry about that right now because they're right there in the middle of their window. They already have a Super Bowl champion under their belt, and next year that salary cap is going to shoot up, and so they'll be able to start letting some of this the money roll over into next year. You're going to have to re-sign Godwin. You're going to have to possibly re-sign Carlton Davis. We'll see if that happens. But the Bucs are in a good position right now. They're trying to bring the band back together to go for 2. And, hey, you got to be excited if you're a Buc fan. All you Buc fans out there, though, they keep trying to say every time someone gets signed, oh, we can't sign this guy now. We can't sign this guy. Hold on, shut up, relax. You don't know how the cap works. You don't know how to manipulate the cap. Let the guys who are paid millions of bucks, let them do what they do. They know what they're doing.
Easy on my web heads here. Easy with your trolling ass.
You know me. I gotta get on them a little bit. It's not like Madden, wherein yes, you got that $2 million or 10, 20 million. You put 20 million, yeah, that's gonna take away 20 of your cap. I get that. That's not how it works in the NFL and real salary cap situation. These guys are lawyers. These guys have gone to school for finance. They know what they're doing. Just allow them to do what they're doing and just applaud every time you say they couldn't do it and they do it. Applaud it and stop asking questions.
All right, smart ass. Who's the next signing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in your opinion? Is it a Sue? Is it a Suck Up? Is it a Brown? Go.
Well, honestly, it's depending on what these other guys are getting. I think Sue definitely wants to be here. So I think that's just a matter of time. Just like it was for Gronk. Gronk put a thing out earlier today where he did an interview where people were like, oh, my goodness, he's talking about he's going to go into free agent.
Right.
That's not what he said. That's not what he said at all. He was just saying, hey, I'm a free agent. So, it's going
First time I've been a free agent. And the New York Post was putting out there that he was threatening the Bucs for leaving. It did no such a thing. It was clickbait.
It did no such a thing. But again, you got people, that overcook the grits, like I always say. And
you will know about overcooking the grits because you're not a good cook just like me. So we all know.
No, I'm actually a great cook, but
you're a terrible cook. You overcook the grits. You overcook everything.
That's how I know when people overcook the grits. Like, just be quiet. Gronk is playing. Gronk has already told you.
You know about overcooking the grits because you're the one that's talking about it all the time. You're the one that's doing it.
Listen. And Gronk has already told you guys, I'm not playing for no quarterback but Tom Brady. So why would any of y'all think he's going to go to Miami and play for a rookie or a second-year player? Well, still a rookie because he had to play 16 games. Why would you think that? Why would you think he'd want to go back up to Buffalo?
I got your y'all right here, all right? That's what I got right there. I got your y'all.
I'm just talking to the fans who were really scared that Gronk was going somewhere. Like, you guys, you got to stop overreacting to every little thing. And just because some person in the know on some website.
Look, that's what it's designed to do here. I mean, we talk about it and we try to push some buttons, but we try to report on it. There's insiders out there. There's guys out there saying, "Oh no, can the Bucs sign all their guys?" And obviously, they got the majority of these guys done. But really, can you remember a team that won a Super Bowl and didn't have major losses? This team is kind of trying to jump the shark here, right?
Well, but again, here's the reason why a lot of those teams have major losses. You guys got to understand, most teams will give signing bonuses that stretches over the life of a contract. And a lot of times those contracts escalate in value as the contract goes on. So when they win a Super Bowl, they're not in the position that the Bucs are in because the Bucs only have been given guaranteed money up until this point. They had never been in a position to where they would play that whole kick the can down the road. We rob Peter to pay Paul today, or rob Peter today to pay Paul later. They never really engaged in that. And because they've never really engaged in that, that's why they can do it now, because they don't have that. I mean, even if the Bucs didn't do this next year, I think they were going to be like $80 million under the salary cap next year. You know what I mean? So they have money to play with because they've set themselves up so well.
Correct.
From a salary cap perspective for the last 10 years. So they didn't play that game that a lot of Super Bowl teams play, and that's why you can't bring people back. You're going to lose maybe your number 2 wide receiver, and you can't pay him anything respectable. You're going to lose that cornerback that was really key, but he was now coming into his own because he's coming off his rookie contract, but you can't do it because you got the veteran over there that's making 29 years old, but he's still in the middle of his prime. You can't lose him, so you'll say, okay, I'll lose that guy who came into his own because now hopefully somebody can take his spot. The Bucs are not in that position. That's why they knew they can run it back. That's why BA was so forceful in saying, your ass ain't going nowhere. That's why Jason Light got up there and said, guys, we're running this thing back, because they knew they were in a position to do that. And every Super Bowl team is not in that position to do that. Even the Bucs, when we won it, we had such bad salary cap situation under
Rich McKay. Right.
That we brought in Bruce Allen to clear out all of that gutter that we had to try to get us in better salary cap situation. So that's why you lose after a year of winning the Super Bowl. You lose a Warren Sapp. You lose a John Lynch. You know, you're losing all those key pieces that while you were a championship team, wherein the Bucs aren't doing that. The Bucs are keeping all their guys, and that's why they are one of the favorites to win it all again next year.
Agree. Absolutely agree. Anything else, Sean, the Sports Don?
Well, no, I was just calling in to just tell everybody to be happy, celebrate, and know that, yes, Sue will be back. I believe they want Succop back. And Antonio Brown, I know he's trying to see what's out there on the open market, but at the end of the day, I can't see anyone giving him
I can't either.
$10 million.
I can't either. I can't either. And if a team does that, hey, better than me, because you still don't know about the legal problems. But to be fair, he was highly productive wide receiver for this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team. And I like to see him come back because I think he was starting to get into his groove. He was starting to get comfortable in this offense. I want to see him come back. You already have Godwin and Evans and Gronk and O.J. Howard and possibly Brate, unless he's cut or traded, which, you know, we talk about that every year. He's cut or traded, and he's always on this team. So until they do it, I'm not going to talk about it. But
and there you go. And right quick about Antonio Brown, his legal issues is a civil suit. So it's not like he's in a situation where he may have to go to jail or anything like that.
Well, but if he does look, we all know that Roger Goodell in the National Football League, if you mess up, if you get convicted of something, or even if you're not convicted of something, just the implication itself will have some type of suspension.
Well, I thought the 8-game suspension that he had was because of that.
Was one of the cases. One of the cases.
You got to remember that's why the Patriots cut him, and then once he got cut, then the NFL gave him that 8-game suspension.
Right.
So it's already been decided from an NFL standpoint. That legal stuff he has going on is from the same woman. Because remember, he was sending text messages to this girl.
There's other women out there. As sad as it's to say, there's other women out there. Situation will be resolved. We'll see.
I think he's already serving that from an NFL standpoint. But now, having said that, you know, to your other point here. I forgot the other point I wanted to try to bring in. You were talking about what else you talked about with Antonio Brown?
I just said I don't think there's going to be a market out there for him, and I'm not sure somebody's going to pay him $10 million. I just don't see it happening.
You talk about Brate. You talk about Brate.
Cameron Brate. Yeah.
Let me get onto that. Okay, everyone. I keep seeing a lot of people talking about, well, let's cut O.J. Howard, let's cut Cameron Brate.
Right.
Listen, the Bucs again understand the strength of their team was depth. They were able to take on injuries in multiple positions. And that's why they brought Antonio Brown in. That's why they didn't cut O.J. Howard or Cameron Brate last year, because they knew with Gronk coming in, who hasn't played a full 16 games and how long, somebody on that offensive line or that tight end room was going to get hurt. But if we can have two, if Gronk hadn't gotten hurt, and you still would have had Cameron Brate and O.J. Howard to play out the season, you still would have had a strong room. I'm not going to be part of that board wherein Cameron Brate has to get cut, because I think if he had to be cut, it would have probably already taken place. I just believe that. Again, we still get restructured. We haven't even talked to Mike Evans yet to restructure or anything like that. So there's still money to be moved around, and the Bucs are going to be able to do that. don't be surprised if all three of those tight ends come back next year and be a part of your tight end room. Don't be surprised if we bring back Antonio Brown, because you'd rather have those three with Tyler Johnson and obviously with Scotty Miller.
Your favorite.
They want that depth, and I think they realize that's the strength of their team, being able to absorb some injuries and still be able to perform at a high level. That's how you win Super Bowls, because once you get to the playoffs, you're going to have some nicks, but can you still perform at a high level? And that's what the Bucs want to do. That's how you go for 2.
All right, good stuff there. Sean, the sports star, my former co-host from a radio station in a galaxy far, far away. Thanks a lot for your time, boss. All right, appreciate you. Let me go ahead and fire those cannons for you right there. And let me go ahead and give you that Ric Flair woo. Thanks a lot for your time, boss. Appreciate you, all right?
All right, brother. You have a good one, all right?
Yep, you too.
To the fans out there, educate yourself. Step your game up.
Will you shut up and be quiet? Enough of you. Tired of you. Down in my fans. Don't come on this show and down the fans. You do it at the radio station. Don't do that here. This is the Sports Web, brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts, for all your auto parts needs. It's Advanced Auto Parts. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. 3 hours almost here, guys, talking about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers and around the NFL. You like it? I gave you about 30 to 45 minutes. Didn't even eat lunch today. Thank God I came home and had some chicken Alfredo that I didn't burn. Thank God for that. You need that in life. All right, let's see here. Agree with that. Williams says, I think we draft a quarterback next year. Jameis has a chance to shine this year with the Saints. Carl says, gives him a chance to break the interception record is what he does. Laugh out loud. Troy Polamalu, King Troy, Trojan Legend SC. Peter, I think ESPN wants to sign you in your show. I appreciate that. Talk to the powers that be a Bucs Report. Bucs Report, we're going to do this together. Me and Bucs Report. I'm thinking tight end and the first, and break gets released. Wow, says Carl Hardy. Williams says, what do you think Vaughn will do this year? Peter, not sure. I think he'll progressively get better simply because of what? Having those off-season workouts, having the training camp, having the preseason, being able to develop. And if Fournette's not there, you have the victim of volume and a Ronald Jones, depending on what the Bucs do in free agency, which we don't know if they're going to draft or go out there and get a James White. He's going to be a big-time part of that running back room. Sky's the limit for the kid. Can't put the ball on the ground, which he did last year. Sam Darnold. Williams says, no way Wilson gets traded. The real Pearl. I like it. There you go. 2 rings. Jets' best case this year is 3rd place in the division. Sorry, Jacob. Johnny says there's a very good chance Wilson gets traded. The Seahawks are doing like the Texans. They are taking offers. Williams says tight end in the second might be more likely because there isn't much talent at tight end this year. Johnny Dean says Texans are idiots. They could have a great start at rebuilding that team if they trade Deshaun. Agree. Williams says, Johnny Dean, that would be very stupid. Might as well trade away Rodgers too. Johnny Dean, William Romer, really? So you keep a guy who will probably not play this season over a team-changing trade? No way. Christopher Cole, wow, I'm watching that Super Bowl behind you, and the Saints are definitely trying to hurt Peyton Manning. Of course they are. Good observation. That was a Bounty Gate team. Remember that? Remember that team going into the NFC Championship game versus Brett Favre and the Minnesota Vikings and how he got absolutely trounced? You know how I remember that Super Bowl? Because that was the Super Bowl I was down in Radio Row. True story. I thought Peyton Manning and the Colts would pull it off, and they didn't. Made me look like a liar again. So there you go. Johnny Dean says Sue. William, let's see here what he has to say. Johnny Dean, why would he not play? That's not going to happen. William again. Let's see. Suck up is mega important. Starting to get that sense that people would rather have Suck up than Sue. I think you got to get Sue first, Suck up, and then Brown. Does that make sense? William Romer, he's not going to play for the Texans. Those issues run deep, right or wrong. Carl Hardy says, love it. Williams says, Johnny Dean, who are you talking about? Daniel Williams says, yes, sir. Johnny Dean says, Deshaun Watson. Tapasso, there's only one GOAT. Tom, terrific. Thank you for removing someone's wife from the conversation. Well, we bring that up because people say, well, the reason why he takes less money is because his wife makes so much money. Fine. But at the end of the day, he takes less money because he wants to win. I don't care how much money his wife makes. He wants to win at all cost. And that's the reason why Tom Brady is the greatest of all time. It's that thought process. It's the difference. It's why Jordan is the greatest of all time, because he'll do whatever it takes to win, to make his team around him better. Doesn't mean calling somebody else and saying, come and join up with me. It means doing everything correctly, making his team around him better, taking less shots, passing the ball more, improving his game. Tom Brady is in the same breath. He is. Johnny Dean, Joshua Cole Allen, speak up. Carl says, who wants to leave this team? Nobody. Tapasso says, James White, yes. OBJ, no. William says, surely Bucs fans remember how many games we lost because of our kickers. It has been several over the past few years. We can't live with another bad kicker. Suck up has been our first money kicker since Bryant. We all know what mistake letting Bryant go was. Agree. William says, Johnny Dean, how did we get on the subject of Watson? We were talking about Wilson. Carl Hardy says, sounds like a quarterback conversation. We can live without Fournette. Agree. Jason says, I think the O-line stays, picking up a tackle. Johnny Dean says, laugh out loud, I mentioned Wilson because the Saints have been talking to the Hawks about him, but that's all iffy. He would play if they don't trade him. Watson is the one I said the Texans would be idiots for not trading to rebuild with. That's why I keep on going back to the Miami Dolphins. You get a perfect quarterback to rebuild with the Tua. And if you're the Dolphins and you feel like Watson is going to put you over the top, you make the trade. You do. You have the defense in place. It was a mistake, in my opinion, to go with Tua in the first place. You should have stuck with a Fitzpatrick. And I'm saying if you have any doubts, if there are any doubts in your mind, and you have an opportunity to get a quarterback that is a franchise quarterback, you go out and get Watson. No matter what. I do that trade all day long. Sorry. I'm not a Tua fan. I'm not. I made no mistake about it. Like the kid. Think he's unbelievable with winning the national championship coming in, but there's too many injury red flags. Too many. Cam Brate is going to be physical this year. William says, Johnny Dean, I agree with that. Jason says, cap space. Jason again, sorry with New England. William says, Johnny Dean, what would be your pick in the first? Defensive tackle. Troy says, redheads suck for sure. I think he's talking about Andy Dalton. That's not the reason why he stinks. He stinks because he's not a good quarterback. I don't know how many times I got to come on this show and say Andy Dalton is not a good quarterback, and people, well, you should get another chance to start. Where? With the Bears? He fails. He failed with the Dallas Cowboys last year. Again, it's not a lot of big team around him, but he's not that good. My draft board for the Bucs would go DT, center, edge, and inside linebacker. DT, depending on who's there. Is Christian Barmore from Alabama? Jump on him. That's a big hoss. Again, Uncle Word. Edge, if there's an edge out there, a lot of edge guys. A Joe Tryon, a lot of potential. That's what it means. They're not going to come in here and set the world on fire. Even in a Todd Bowles system, you're going to have to develop them. I could go in that because of JPP getting up there in age. I go with edge. The schedule of who are facing looks pretty decent, so we need to get off the drive from here. Jason says as far as their needs, Jason goes again, offensive line, maybe interior. I think they're pretty set there. Our defense. William says being Pitts will likely be gone. I like to go center or safety if we don't re-sign Whitehead. Whitehead's not a free agent. Whitehead's young too. You're not gonna go for safety again. Plus they got Edwards. So Pitts should be gone by the time the Eagles pick at 6. That's how good he is. Jensen is good. William goes, Whitehead is very important. Resign, in my opinion, he's only 23 coming into his own. I haven't heard he's a free agent, guys. I have not heard that. One more year for Jensen. Johnny Dean, Jason. Jensen is good for now, but he's reaching his time. This draft is all about rotation, getting pieces in place for when these guys are gone. Johnny Dean, welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. How you doing today?
I just want to call in quick and explain my draft.
Go for it.
Defensive tackle, because Sue might be here this year, might not be, but it don't matter because he's going to have to be replaced soon. And the defensive tackle, Davion, whatever his name is, that ran the ball back 71 yards, that guy's a physical freak. and he would fit right in there as a development defensive tackle.
Okay.
Everybody I got there is development because nobody in this draft is going to start over anybody we have starting now.
Correct. And you don't want anybody to start right away because that's the luxury you have. So
Jensen's getting up in years, and we don't have a real center behind him. So I would take center second. Edge rusher. There's a lot of edge rushers out there this year that could be developed. So I'd go with edge rusher third. And then what did I say for fourth? Inside linebacker, because eventually Levante David will leave within the next 3 years, and it'd be nice to have somebody start their development already.
Or you get a guy that you could be a special teamer. You know, you never know. You get an inside linebacker, could become a special teamer and then develop. Yeah. So it's good. It's good. It's a good plan. I just go with edge rushers. I mean, if there's edge rushers out there and you feel like JPP and he's getting up there in age, you got somebody on the board and you can develop them, and keyword develop, because you have Anthony Nelson, and I still believe in Nelson. I know
JPP's got 2 years, and all of those that I have all those positions addressed, and I'm addressing them by the strength of the draft. That's the why I put them in that order. I mean, they're saying the edge rushers, it's not the strongest part of the draft.
Right.
That defensive tackle position, we could probably get that guy really cheap and be very happy we did, because, well, I say cheap, but in a good position in the draft.
Right.
Everybody else is looking for those edge rushers right now, and they're going to be swallowed up off the board, all the good ones.
Yeah.
That defensive tackle, man, he's barely known. I sent it to Keith, and he already knew who I was talking about. So
I know you're talking about too. It's a kid from LSU. Is that the kid we're talking about?
Davion, or whatever his name is.
Oh, Davion Nixon from Iowa, I believe. Yes. I think that's who you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, that guy is a physical freak. 71-yard return, dude. He got a fumble recovery, he forced a fumble, picked up the fumble, and went 71 yards with it. Couldn't get touched. And he even makes juke moves.
And that may be a position of me, because even if you get back a Sue, you may lose a Nacho, you may lose a Steve McClendon. So that would definitely make sense. I agree with that. I like that.
He kind of plays like Sue too, getting those forced fumbles and stuff. He the first thing I saw was he reminded me of Sue, and then I saw him go 71 yards. I said, no, he's not Sue. He's faster.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, like that, you could definitely get away with drafting defensive line and offensive line. We've talked about that before. Good stuff, Johnny Dean. Anything else?
All right. No, that's it. I just wanted to clear that up.
All right, man. Let me go ahead and
get out of here.
Yeah, I'm getting a little tired. I'm not going to lie. It's about three hours here. All right. I appreciate you, boss. All right.
All right. Later, bud.
Later. All right. Getting a little tired, but it's okay. We'll get through. Good stuff. It's been a long day, and we'll continue to report on your Bucs news here. Let's see here. Jason Ball, he'll be a free agent next year, though, so we could groom a center to take over. Jensen's good for now, but he's reaching his time. The draft is all about rotation, getting pieces in place for when these guys are gone, which is what the Saints have done for so many years. That's why they've been able to maintain both of their lines, if you will. Yeah, but Brady's hitting 45 in 2 years. Carl says Fitzpatrick will be a backup. I don't know about that. Johnny Dean says, yeah. Williams says, I can't wait to see the Creamsicles again. It would be awesome to see a dominant win in the Creamsicles. Anthony the Real, I guess that's Chinese or Japanese, or I don't know what that is. Maybe you're a BTS fan. You guys watch the Grammys last night? I didn't. Just heard about it. I don't even watch the Grammys anymore. I don't even listen to music anymore. I guess I'm old. Yeah, but a young Sue could cause many penalties. Well, I think what he's saying is not, from the mindset of being a dirty player. What he's saying is a physical presence that can get that penetration that's necessary to stop the running game, which is what has helped this Tampa Bay defense be number one versus the rush the last couple of years. Johnny Dean, he's in for the next year. Jason again, but we don't want to walk into negative. Jason again, Sue, life is just getting established in the Bay. Let's see here. Jason says he's already agreed. Johnny Dean, I don't know what that means. Roger Shue, go away, Sean. You still owe me your barbecue there, Roger Shue, you fat finger troll. That's a franchise tag. Let's go out to Johnny Dean here. Maybe it's because I'm getting older, but damn, Darcy Glazer is starting to look damn good. I didn't think she looked bad. I'm not, you know what? I'm not even commenting on that. Okay. Let's just stop with that right now. You were right on the last 10. Tim says, simmer down there, Skippy. Change of culture. I think Tim was calling out Sean because Sean was calling out the webheads, and I don't like that. Tim goes, Fitzpatrick just agreed to a 1-year, $10 million deal with the Washington football team. Jason says, are you a fresh Bucs fan, my guy? I don't know who you're asking. That's definitely not me. Does everyone remember the Bucs have women as part owner in Darcy Glazer? Absolutely. I said that, Christopher. I know you're trying to make something of that. Darcy has taken over the majority of the Bucs-related issues. Johnny Dean, Tim Weatherspoon, Darcy's far easier to look at than Joel, at least. Johnny Dean, Darcy, LSU, inside linebacker Cox. Williams says, my mistake on Whitehead. I was thinking Cockrell. He could definitely be re-signed to a smaller deal, so change that to a corner in the first. Night guys, they've been talking to Newman. I think his name is, I think it's Gregory Newman out of Northwestern, and he's 6'2", 6'3". Sean the Sports Dom was telling me off air how he likes him. So could you see the Bucs drafting a corner? Huh? Best player available. All right. And William Romer says, never mind, laugh out loud. So with that being said, guys, thanks to all the calls and the comments tonight. The breaking news of the night, Shaq Barrett, of course, re-signed early on in the day, and Rob Gronkowski signed. Thanks to Leon Searcy Jr., former offensive tackle and 3-time national champion with the Miami Hurricanes, of course, offensive tackle for the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Jacksonville Jaguars. And once again, to all your calls and comments, you make the show go. Definitely tune in tomorrow night for the Hard Count Football Podcast with Jacob Sharnow at 7 o'clock and What's Cooking in the South with Rick Hughes. Do 3 things for me early on this Tuesday morning where free agency is alive and well and your Tampa Bay Buccaneers are still Super Bowl world champions, whatever you want to call them. They're at the pinnacle of their success. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake. Have a good night.